8 teams have already gone home. By the end of today, 12 will be sent home packing. Breaking hearts. That's how we celebrate Valentine's Day here. Happy Valentine's Day on that note.
You're dramatic.
So intense.
Oh my God.
I mean, people are getting eliminated. The pressure's on. It's sad. It's making me a little sad.
Yeah, it's a tough time,
Come on.
Jackie. It's a Six Invitational. Hearts have to be broken in order to crown a winner. Not everybody can make it to the final stage. And yeah, it is a big day for eliminations today.
Whose heart's going to be broken, SSG or M80?
I think no matter what happens, my heart will be broken because I love both teams.
Yeah.
Aww.
I do. I really do.
Jacob, they're any counterparts.
I mean, they are. And the thing is, we haven't seen them compete specifically as M80 against SSG the whole time, but we have seen them play in the NAL several times already at this point. So we have an idea of what to expect, and I am loving the fact that this matchup gets to happen. I'm just hating that it happens under elimination circumstances. That's the only real caveat that I have for this, because you know the differences between both of them. One is a squad that's only been formed out of, parts of different rosters for the past year or so, trying to figure out exactly how it was going to work, that went to 2 majors. And the other one only went to 1 major, but it's composed of some of the longest tenured and most known players in North America that have been able to go to international events in the past several years. So I love the face-off, but one of them has to leave?
I know, right?
What?
Well, Jesse, we frequently talk about this squad. We have them up on the screen right now. And, we say, oh, this squad, they're all around. All of them contribute. But I really think that hits hard with this team.
Oh, yeah. M80, it feels like everybody can pop off and have a good game, right? Obviously, we've talked about Diaz, one of the star performers in the tournament so far. Well, a guy that I think statisticians especially have been looking at for a long, long time as just being this high survivability player who really has a unique play style where he does manage to have the most clutches, most survival rounds out of almost any player in the entire world. But also you got to look around a little bit more, right? Like, I think Yaga's been having a great tournament. Spirits is a guy who's actually quite negative right now. I believe he's minus 38 on the KD, but he's somebody who can pop off in the ridiculous games that he has every now and again. He can be inconsistent at times, but just watch out, because when he gets a spicy game, he is deadly in the server.
I feel like if there was anybody who I wanted to go back and when we get the replay files from this invitational, if you want to go back and look at any of them before the next patch, it's got to be Diaz, because I don't know how somebody like him pulls off as high a survivability rating and as high of a cost consistently within like the 80th percentile. That's such a ridiculous amount of time to spend alive in a server. And you know how they usually say Rainbow Six is a lot more fun if you're not dying consistently? He's got a whole bunch of other people that do that around him, meaning that he's usually in a position to make a play, whether it's on attack or defense. I love his play style. I love the fact that we're still here being given the chance to talk about him. But again, is he going home or not? I don't know the answer, and I don't want him to go home.
To be determined. Undoubtedly. Yeah, but let's go to SSG now. And both of you spoke with Lycan, I believe, correct, earlier?
Yeah, he came on the desk.
I really enjoyed that interview. One, because I thought he defended his coaching style, but also he said that with M80, they're going to be targeting their active play style. So what does that mean?
Well, Jackie, I think we're kind of at a point in Siege, right, where the defenders are kind of forced to be quite aggressive. They don't have all the same tools that they did back in the old day when Lycan was a world champion. No, now the defenders are kind of more limited on their tools, and when they're limited on their tools that they have available to them, they have to get aggressive to take that advantage, right? They can't play as safe, play back as they used to. And so M80 are a team that like to get in your face. They like to roam around. Maybe not Diaz, but the rest of the players in that squad absolutely do. Spirits, Yogg, they all like to go through. Gomez, of course, can't forget about him. And so right now, the meta kind of enables that. Lots of high fragging operators being used a lot. Oryx, Alibi, absolutely. So that's kind of what SSG have to watch out for here today, and likely throughout this tournament if that continues.
The other thing that Lycan said in the interview was that he thought he won the Invitational during the hardest meta, when, again, you're not able to sit back consistently on site all the time, and it does force you to play a little bit more in your face. And that's the thing that we've seen SSG try a couple of times, and it hasn't really worked out, especially when they're trying to work on whatever their attacks might look like, whether it's a confirmed strat beforehand or a pocket strat. So if they're able to pick the pace up, great, but it looks like Lycan is still having a little bit of a transition from the way that he won 3 years ago into what it's looking like these days.
Okay, I also want to zone in on Rampy. Today, map 1 earlier, not so great. Map 2 popped off, Jesse.
Indeed he did, and I wanted to highlight these stats, Jackie, because on Cafe to start things off in their series earlier today, you know, he was struggling a little bit. 11 and 12, he went negative. I thought he struggled with positioning, especially those last couple of rounds on defense. You know, he wasn't really able to trade. Round 13, first round of overtime, you know, he's messing around on the bottom floor while the enemy team is executing up on the bomb site up around Cocktail. So Cafe, map 1, really not the strong suit for Rampy. Map 2, though, Chalet, he really popped off, and I think especially on that second half, you know, fragging at all points of the execute. He would be roam hunting way across the map, finding Joom somewhere in the basement. Then he'd come around and get a pick somewhere during the push, making sure that he's still staying active while the kit's going down. And then he stays alive for the late game, that massive 1v2 clutch towards the very end after choosing not to plant the kit on extremely low time. Just a phenomenal fragger and somebody who has struggled at times, right? There was a point in time in this tournament through the group stage where he was the lowest rated player out of everybody.
Yeah.
And even coming into today, he was a bottom 5 player. He had a 17 survival rating, abysmal, and it's gotten up a little bit after that game today.
Okay, and I believe we are ready to put the map ban info up on your screen. Here it is. Jacob, thoughts?
What?
Hey, this is strange.
Okay, so, So, SSG banning Cafe, one of their best maps. M80 banning Villa. SSG also banning Bank, which, sure, that's probably one that you would expect M80 to maybe have something on, but it looks like SSG are banning their best ones out the gate, and for some reason they're letting M80 pick Clubhouse against them? What's going on?
Bank is really weird ban from Space Station because they've beaten M80 twice here on it, and it's one of their favorite maps. I mean, Bank for SSG is just such a powerhouse. These are very strange bans, Jackie. Not 100% sure what's going on, but we will be playing Theme Park either way to start things off. For M80 up on Theme Park, they've got 3 wins and are undefeated on it. So, I mean, it's an interesting pick for Space Station for them to pick a map like Theme.
Well, Club is also here. M80 are the ones picking it into a Space Station that are 3 and 4 on it over the past year. I'm not certain what the play is. I'm sure they've got some idea of what's going on. I love you too, Kino, but this is just like, this is interesting to see. It's not to say that there isn't some formula for success. Maybe if they like the idea of taking a map that one team is comfortable with and maybe they have something in their back pocket. But Kino also said on Twitter earlier, it's do or die time, so you better do something good or you're going to die.
Okay, predictions time. Jesse?
Oh, it's tough, Jackie, because I really liked talking with Lycan earlier today. I really want to see him back, but I think M80 is just too strong. I think I have to go M80 with a safe pick today.
Okay, Jacob?
I love M80 too, but I wonder how much SSG being able to play earlier means they'll actually have a little bit of an advantage because they got to warm up earlier today, and M80 is coming in cold after they lost earlier. They look a little bit loose now, but I kind of want to see Bosco lift another hammer.
Oh, you saying SSG?
He's flipping on us.
Oh, wow.
Maybe some of that copium has not left my system.
Hey,
I'm not sure.
well, we shall see. Now to SSG versus M80. Roses are red, attackers are blue. Dez and Ace, ara in jackets, ooh woo. And the Stream B pre-show too.
Dear God.
I love Jackie's energy.
I loved it till we went all kind of anime and ara ooh. It's just like, what are you doing?
I just love her energy. She's
Okay, we'll take it. Okay, we'll take it.
We love you, Jackie.
We do love you, Jackie, but sometimes the red flags are a waving. Big game coming up here then, Tim.
Big game indeed.
We are indeed. SSG versus M80, loser goes home.
Every game's a big game now because of that exact point. We're in a position, particularly today, where every single game decides the fate of a team. There's always this day in Invitational, and it's always one of the most intense because 8 teams go home in just one day.
Brutal.
It just gets brutal, and there's always that one day, and this is it, and we are at the sharp end of it.
We are indeed. And it's worth mentioning, by the way, those map bans were reversed. Theme Park is M80's map pick, which means SSG have chosen to start on the defensive side, which makes sense as it is M80's best map, therefore they've done well better have picked it. Otherwise, SSG will be trolling their way through this entire ban phase. So with that being the first map, knowing M80's confidence again coming into their very best map, you'd expect a strong start. Most of the desk, it sounds like, backing M80 to come through this as well, but we can't ignore that SSG have had a game today already. Looking back at yesterday, the teams that were in 3rd seed that had to play a game before playing against the 2nd seeds, they all came through and won.
Yeah.
Not a single one of them lost because they were already warmed up, they were ready and raring to go, and they just caught the other side cold.
But it starts answering or at least sort of leaning into an answer of the age-old question. Is it better to have the rest, or is it better to play a second game? And as you say, the results are certainly suggesting that teams that have been, warmed up thoroughly earlier in the day in a competitive match have come out with a good result. So SSG, they now sit in that position. Let's be honest. I'll call it as I see it. SSG have not been the strongest team at this tournament so far. I think they'd be the first to agree. But what I always say about tournaments, particularly, tournament play is about form. It is about hitting your good days at the right time, because every team in a tournament will have good days and bad days. And if you can cling on, if you can just make it through those bad days, whether they be knockouts, whether they be groups, if you can get the job done to progress through those, that is what happens with championship winning teams. Simple as that. And SSG, maybe they find a bit of form now. Maybe, they start pushing forward. It was a 2-0 against Heroic, and they can double down here against M80. Let's not forget, in the last 2 years, the M80 roster, obviously formerly as X-Set, but M80 now, that's 6 games they've played in NAL between the two of them over 3 stages each year. SSG have won every one but one.
Looking more towards the kind of most recent years, they've gone through a couple of changes themselves as a organisation at the time. I think, again, if we just focus on the most recent results and looking at how SSG beat Heroic earlier, I know it was an 8-7 and a 7-4. It wasn't the cleanest of games. It was really scrappy, especially in that first map. But SSG have kind of had themselves tested here against a team that are quite, I don't want to say ranked in style, but they are very aggressive. They'll go for 1v1s, they'll go for swings, they'll go for peaks. They will be up in your face. And M80, I think, have some of those characteristics as well. I think they're well equipped for this one, but we'll have to play the game out and see how things shine on through. Diaz, the one to really raise, so I think, is the big player on this side, Tim. Most clutches in the entire competition bar, absolutely no one, and the 4th highest rated overall. Absolute beast so far. Could be the defining factor here unless we see the members of SSG put up a good show like they had earlier against Heroic, where every single player was getting involved when it came to the kills.
Quite a set of switches there for Diaz, who went from Blackbeard to Jackal to Ace.
Man's indecisive.
All very different styles of play for those 3 operators, but he is going to land on the hard breach at the end of things. I don't think he's going to be the focus of the hard breach, and that's going to be Kino on the Hibana, but we are attacking onto Armory and Throne, and we continue to see earlier, we've seen a number of theme parks so far today, and we continue to see that where teams fail to open up walls on Armory Throne, they struggle to get the attacking wins. You're pushing in through 2 single doors, you are basically funneling yourself. So hopefully, I'd like to see Kino getting in there, getting maybe yellow wall open and one other, so that there is not a safe space, a comfortable space inside of sight for those defenders.
Already straight inside a break here as well, with the Amaru getting straight inside. They have at least some control, an entry point in towards the building here with which to work from. Spirits is trying to make his own, but Rampy reminds him it ain't as easy as just stepping into the building. It does need a bit of coordination sometimes as he shuts down and gets the first kill in this round.
Hell of a fight from Rampy, that. Really well done. Spirits had already landed the first shots, knew exactly where he was, but Rampy coming away with the win on that one and leaving them 5 versus 4. Fultz still on the top floor. The thing is now, it gives SSG a little bit of freedom, Des. They've got that man over. They can leave players up on the top floor. They don't have to commit everybody back to site. Fultz can play his life up there a little bit, see if he can pick anybody else up, and it's not the end of the world if he doesn't manage to make it to the end of the round.
Still trying to work their way through, mind you. They know that SSG are lurking as well. You can see the outlines starting to dance through the map. Not forgetting that as well, we are, of course, defending on towards the downstairs here, but wanted to make sure they still have this vertical control to work with, getting themselves some control here over barrels on the below, looking maybe to start their way in on that west side. And Gomez, for the second time this round, is clearly having a bit too much fun with the Gara hook, has got himself inside a break room. So a large part of the top floor established, and a lot of M80 here have now dropped their way down and are looking to start a push on this barrel side. They don't care about Dragon's side. Everything is coming in from one direction.
Nade going to go over the top there, just to clear off the utility. Not looking for players, looking to clear off the electricity so that we can get that breach going on. Nitro will come out, breach is going. That is good. I keep talking about breaching these walls. And M80 have done exactly that. 35 seconds left to go though. It could be a little bit of a tough time factor for them here. They need to start thinking about getting some kills inside of sight. There's a good few defenders stacked up.
Oh, Gomez!
Gomez with a big double. We're going to have a man down as well. Bosco down but not out, and this is not looking good for SSG.
Snaps onto the heads there as well. It does not, though, with only 2 left standing. Rampy doing a bit of work from above, joined in by Fultz. Down to a 3 versus 3. Bosco's on his backside, though. Another kill comes in, a 2v2 ensues, and just like that, Rampy and Fultz have dragged the team through what looked like a rough round. 4 kills between the 2 of them.
Unreal performance from the duo at the end there. It looked, for all the life in them, that round was going to go to M80, but it goes to show, even with those breaches open, it is still a very tough site to attack.
These headshots.
You just need that pressure from multiple sides, because we saw at the end there, look at this, perfect example, Fultz is able to just aim in one location. The kills all come in the same position, and that's why I keep banging on and will keep going on about opening multiple walls, because you can't let them focus on one spot.
If that's anything to go by for the rest of this game, though, we said earlier on, Rampy, you saw it on the analysis desk as well, the difference between map 1 and map 2 against Heroic, he was really warming into things. And the one thing about SSG we can't forget is, look, they've had a really, really rough tournament so far. The only game they won in the group stage, they got 4 points, basically the bare minimum to get through because Elevate had 0. They only got a 2-0 win against Elevate. Every other game, they got hammered 2-0. They were against some big teams. They had Koi, they had G2, they had W7M in their group. It's looked like one of the weakest forms of SSG that we've seen in a long time, and I don't know how many expected to see them here. They are still here, and that's really what counts after that win at the start of today. But for me, again, it's pivotal that we see all 5 players from SSG online and gunning if they are going to stop M80 here. M80, you could probably not too beaten up about it. It's 1 round. They're not going to kit themselves too much. Gomez already putting on a bit of a show to start things off, and in the second round, they've doubled down on the shield play. They've got the Monty, and they've got the Blackbeard. Diaz rocking that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be too worried about that. It's one attack onto a difficult site. It's certainly not the end of the world. It's not going to rattle them at all. But as you say, SSG just, you know, seeming just like Rampy, the team as a whole growing into this tournament a little bit now. And you kind of love to see it. Like I say, they've made it through the difficult days. They've ridden the storm potentially, and they're now in a position where they can start focusing and looking towards those later matches. If they can get themselves through today, 2 matches, you know, both carrying the penalty of going home should they not win them, it will be a big result, a big outcome for them.
I'm real mindful here. If you try and beat away the keeper barrier, well, you put yourself at risk of being sprayed through the soft wall on the far side of the room. So instead, they open up the left and look to work their way through. Spirit's taking a little bit of damage here, but nothing that'll lose too much sleep over. So to keep on marching through as the second one comes out. Again, a tiny little bit of chip damage. I'm pretty sure SSG were looking for far more damage than what they got away with there from those 2 impacts.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine for the Monty. Spirits can just continue bullying inside a site, providing intel, and just creating space, really, which is what Monty's all about. You know, just going in there and disrupting what the defense want to do. Kino thinks he's got a line onto somebody there, and he kind of does, but there's just obstacles in the way that are going to prevent him from landing those shots. Hot and Cold just playing in behind that mirror window for the time being.
For sure, and I think sitting behind these is a really good shout here as well. There's one nice and close in the form of the smoke who could do some real damage on the peek out. Deeper out with the smoke here. Does he want to try and move his way inside of the shower? I think he does. And with that smoke being a little bit deeper, does have the option to sneak in. Here he is. Not sure it's necessarily the best place to get yourself post-boxed into, but if he can get himself a kill onto the Monty, for example, that'll be mega.
Bosco, a great smoke player, as we know, and in a position to do some real damage now then. There's the aggression. Rampy is going to be taken down by Yoga. Just didn't see that push coming at all. Fultz and Yeti getting in on the action, but this is just going back and forth. And at the minute, M80 might just win out on trades. There's 40 seconds left to go, and they've got a man advantage. It's 3 versus 2.
Diaz looking to get involved now as well. Awakened somewhat after things have gone a little bit pear-shaped on site. Yes, they've got themselves 3 kills, but still in a spot where they've got to force in through bottlenecks here. that can make things really difficult. And look at that, hot and cold with the wonderful lineup onto almost 2 players. Fultz finds one. What a couple of rounds he's having so far. Down to a 2v2 as we come into the last 15. Hot and cold finds one. It's a 1v1 between him and the Blackbeard, and Diaz is hunting down his prey.
The thing is, Diaz doesn't have diffuser in hand at the minute, so it just gives another element for Hot and Cold to work on moving in here. I think he knows roughly where he is. But Hot and Cold's going to win it out with the Vector, and that's 2 rounds now that M80 have had a bit of an advantage, have had a position that they could have won the round from, but have failed. And if that starts to stack up, it could be a real problem for them real quick.
What I am loving, Tim, is how close these 2 rounds have been. We were saying earlier on off air that the last 2 days of Siege have been absolutely phenomenal. Probably the best passage, like collection of games of Siege that I've seen since I started casting the game, to be honest with you. I've really, really enjoyed how close so many have been. And this game is looking to keep on that same trend. 2 rounds that ultimately M80 could have won, but SSG have held on.
That's it. I've been absolutely, we're not working till the late shift today, Des. We're doing
We're in for a late one, Tim.
We're doing game 3 and 4 here on the A stream, so we've had the morning to ourselves, but I've been absolutely glued to the screen. I've had it on the TV in the hotel room, just watching everything play out. I've had the second game on my tablet as well, just absolutely taking it all in, and it has been electric viewing so far, and I'm certain it's going to continue across the rest of the night. When you think of some of the matchups that we've got, I mean, here on the A stream, M80 SSG, and then that's going to be followed by the rematch of Lost One Astralis. We remember how good a game that was from the other day, as it was it was one of the best we cast through the groups. So, I'm sure that's going to deliver as well. And then there's some fantastic entertainment over on the B stream.
I just love the upsets we're seeing as well, right? Liquid are gone. We thought BDS might be the ones getting knocked out there, but absolutely not. Sonics have gone as well. A team that everyone coined to be a top 6 team, a real contender, knocked out already. I think someone said it earlier on. We were like, so many big teams going home, and they're like, the thing is, there's only big teams left at this point. And that again, looking at this game is a real good example. SSG, have won it before. Maybe not having the best performance so far this competition, but both teams fully deserving to be here. But sadly, only one can progress.
SSG going to be defending Lab and Storage for their final, the final round on the quarter of the defensive rotation. Now, there's not much of a top floor presence. Fultz is going to get aggressive, and what a kill! Goes in and absolutely slams Spirit in control. There was only one person in control then, and it was Fultz.
Just unbelievable. To round the corner and slam him with a headshot. Fultz is feeling himself this game. You've seen it between Rampy, you've seen it across Hot and Cold. The 3 of them really shining in the first 3 rounds. Still, M80 are trying to work their way forward, struggling here so far on their map pick to get around on the board. I wouldn't say struggling in the game itself because they've come very, very close twice, like we've now seen across those first 2 rounds. Yoga rounding out towards Dragonside and trying to move his way forwards. They want to try and push him mainly here through Armory and Armory Archives, about to say, in through Armory and Throne to then get themselves some access in towards Lab and Storage. So SSG drawing them essentially into a full map clear here that clearly is hurting them when it comes to the clock.
It is, honestly, SSG. And the thing is, SSG are on defense, so we need to not get too carried away at the minute. Gomez is going to pick up Fultz there, level things up 4-4. The reason that I say that is a lot of SSG struggles have particularly come on the attack. So that's going to be the important half for them. But they're doing fantastically well at the minute. Kino is going to pick up Rampy, leveling things up 3 versus 3. 55 seconds left to go, so there's certainly time on the clock. But Diaz, he gets caught out, and so does Kino with a Capcan trap. And that is going to leave us 3v1 and surely another round going to SSG.
Gomez has to know that he can't push in through here. Crossfires galore set up onto the window, goes in, Frostbat, and almost gets Hot and Cold. He was looking the wrong way.
He cannot get away with that.
That was surprising. I really thought they knew that he was on the window, and for a second he almost got away with it, but Hot and Cold connects the kill. 3 rounds in a row.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think we're going to see, are we seeing a tactical timeout brought in by M80? I don't think they're going to pull the trigger just yet. The clock is still ticking. Nope, we're going to move on. I just wondered, we talk about these quarters. There's 3 rounds down, nothing doing for M80 yet. Do you think it might be soon the chance to have that tactical timeout and have a discussion?
I think normally we say after 3 rounds is a good point because you've seen a good rotation through, but at least here, maybe not. They're feeling confident knowing it's their own map. They worry more about winning their defenses. Getting a couple on the board here in their view might just be enough, and they feel they know what's gone wrong. And the thing is, I also get it. Like we said, those first 2 rounds, really, really close. Could have gone either way. I wouldn't be beating themselves up all that much.
No, absolutely not. We're going to see them go back down to Armory and Throne SSG here. They're just going to restart their rotation, rinse and repeat, and try and do the same thing. I think, to be honest, I feel like this was probably one of the closer rounds for M80. It came down to a real sort of last-ditch hold from Fultz and Rampy. So I'd like to see M80 not, panic too much, not move away from what they were trying to do too much. Just, maybe add on to it a little bit, adapt it a little bit, get one of those walls open, maybe a little Selma charge on the yellow stairs wall, give another angle for SSG to think about, and that might just make the difference.
It will do. Here we go, just in the last of those Capcan traps being deployed by Hot and Cold as well. We saw how those had an impact in that last round, netting one of the final 3 kills that came in to close out the round quite decisively for the side of SSG. Maybe growing in confidence a little bit here as they are looking to challenge up on this top floor around Cafe straight away. Shield at the ready, and hopefully keeping M80 at bay, but on their side, they've really got to start keeping up the pace a little bit here. I feel being choked down towards the closing stage of the round where they are forced into these gunfights that are less than ideal. Have got the tools as well to force a lot of these defenders back. I'm looking at the KB here and just thinking, great, gives you so much map control incredibly quickly. A great way of sniffing out any defenders who are a little bit too far on the roam. So discipline also got to be shown by SSG.
And Keno getting a little bit of information that Hot and Cold was just playing in and around the vending machine, but not going to be able to land any shots onto him, but does at least offer himself a line of sight through there from the rappel. We're going to see SSG dipping back across the top floor now, almost into the waiting arms of Gomez, but he's unable to get that line of sight. The moving parts just not quite aligning for him then.
I'll give them a call.
There we go, call number 1 coming out. Bit of information being swung back and forth between the two sides, but it should be M80 here who are able to go aggressive. It is SSG and Hot and Cold in particular who are looking to step forward and make it happen. Rampy's out the window, but Gomez, he's just better. Also having a phenomenal game as he hits a second onto Hot and Cold. That's that initial hole from SSG broken wide open, and only 3 stand.
It is. This is a great first half for M80 in this round. Rampy having to hit his shots onto Gomez there at every opportunity, but unfortunately was unable to. The drone in is going to kick in again. That's not too much of a surprise. There's plenty of time for M80 here. Next thing I'd like to see is them start getting some walls open, but despite the drones rolling around as the Capcan continues to hurt them, Hot and Cold picking one up from beyond the grave.
I remember a time when we used to really laugh when pro players walked into frost mats, into Capcan traps, just like how on earth did you not know it was there? It happens multiple times a game now. Again, whether it's frost or whether it's the Capcan, it doesn't matter. We just keep on seeing people getting caught out by these gadgets. Personally, a bigger fan of the Capcan traps, only because as soon as you know there's one, you know there are 4 more potentially elsewhere around the map that you have to go and deal with. Yogg with a nade coming in into Fultz though. Again, the player on the side of SSG that has started strong here. Bosco swings wide. Spirits gets 2, and M80 finally get on the board.
That's exactly what M80 needed at this point. They didn't want to be going 4 down. It feels like maybe that's going to be the moment just to wake them up a little bit. As we've said, we see teams have a slow start sometimes. SSG, let's not forget, already played today, coming in hot. M80 needing to just settle into things, and that's a good way to do it. That's going to pick them up their first round. Looking at the entries so far, we've had 4 rounds. We've had 2 in either direction, so things are pretty even in many ways here, except the scoreline. But ultimately, that's the one that matters, Des.
The number of times I'd wind mates up over like a result in football back in the UK, they'd be like, oh, you only won 1-0. I'm like, yeah, but it's still 1-0, isn't it?
1-0, 10-0, doesn't matter by an inch.
Don't care how well you played, don't care if you thought you were the better team. I don't want to get excited about this yet, by the way, Tim. I was going to say, I doubt it sticks. DS moving away from the Grim. Sad times. I think we saw it once in the group stage. Grim?
Yes, W7M played Grim and got a kill with him, I believe, as well.
Decent. Just clearly not really making the mainstream when it comes to operator picks so far here at SI. Just as a reminder, though, at the end of the group stage, we had seen every single operator picked on both attack and defense, which is great for showing the operator diversity, the strats teams are employing. Even saw Kavira in round 1 of the whole thing when it was Benja finding Crying.
The thing is, ultimately, not every operator that comes along is going to just go in and be, an immediate insta-pick for competitive teams. I think, if anything, that could be a dangerous situation, because obviously, they're going to be getting more and more powerful each time to dislodge the ones that have gone before them. Yeah, Grim, as you say, not quite bursting onto the scene just yet. Is useful in his situations, but we're going to have Yoga going to open up that top hatch. That's going to prevent the play in and around vending machine potentially. Just makes it awfully uncomfortable to challenge onto Cafe door, although SSG not too worried about that at the moment.
Got the cover of the ADSs as well in case any do come singing in the wrong way, but it's in quite a difficult spot for you to be able to nade through. To be fair, it's more of a drop later in the round if you feel you need it, or catching any inattentive defenders that do run the wrong way through and find themselves tagged out pretty much for free. Gomez here once again working his way inside the cache, clearly the designated player regardless of what operator he is playing on. It was hot and cold to challenge him here quite early last time around. I don't know if it'll be the same story again. Here's the C4 coming out as well, trying to find the Monty where impact nades won't do. Maybe a C4 would be enough, and he's got back through and got the reinforce off. You cheeky little bugger.
Spirits is going to have to find himself an alternative route through. Bosco manages to find a nice headshot with the SMG-11. I've already commented on Bosco's smoke play. It goes without saying, but it continues as he manages to find himself another absolute beauty there. And he's going to hold them off for as long as anybody else, I imagine, would be capable of in that position.
Also worth stressing as well, you're seeing a lot of Monty because I spoke about this when we saw Theme Park really start to get played last week. You know, I think it was G2 that first said, look, the best way you can get control of really difficult to control rooms, I don't think DS knows about the player behind this table, but difficult to control rooms like cache, even inside a cafe, is to bring a Monty. You just take control of space where normally you might be challenged from 2 or 3 different angles. You can just march on forwards. So M80 really taking that quite literally and saying, look, we don't want to break this down with lots of intricate utility. A shield should be enough for us. But right now, you got Bosco just handing it to him. Hello? Can't finish him off yet. Finally gets the down as well, straight into the back corner. Is that a blitz? No, it's definitely a Monty.
I'm not sure how Spirit's got away with that one. Bosco managed to break the shield a couple of times and just couldn't bring the shotgun to bear. And Spirits does manage to move on, but super low health now, and it's not going to take very much at all. I look on the side of SSG and my eyes are drawn to the impact nade of Yeti and the nitro of Rampy that could both do that job given the time. Now then, it's 3 versus 4, low health for Kino as well. This is not stacking up well for M80, 15 seconds.
Got to try and force their way to make a plan happen here. I think Spirits is really conscious of what could go wrong here if he tries to make a plan happen. He needs to get rid of this player, but can't do it. Gets the long range assist. There's the 2 kills that SSG were looking for. Kino left all alone. Rampy on the close. SSG continuing that transformed form that we saw against Heroic.
They're looking great at the minute. Like I say, the big question for me for SSG now is the next half. They've still got a round to go, but when they get onto the attack, can they keep this momentum up? That has been where their problems have been previously. If they can, then you start talking about SSG maybe in slightly different terms, Des. If they come through 2 knockout games today, survive and continue in the tournament, I sort of feel like it maybe wipes the slate clean a little bit for SSG.
You'd hope so, but that means that to get through that second half is the big one I'm really looking for. So we'll see if we get to that point. M80 here, I feel maybe it's time to try something different than the Monty. I know I've said about it helping you take ground, but even with that on side, you're not getting tons out of it. Sure, that last round we saw a push forward. We got the 1 versus 1 coming through. Otherwise, it's kind of ground to a halt inside of initiation and not really pushed all that much further. So a guns up round might be the play here. Otherwise, you're staring down the barrel of a 5-1. And even with SSG going onto the attack, it's going to feel a little bit risky.
It is indeed. We're going to have more Capcom brought along, absolutely no surprise whatsoever. Doing a fantastic job so far. We've seen a couple of kills come through, so M80 needing to pay particular attention to that, make sure that thorough droning is going on, but Bosco on the Mozzie is not going to help them any in that regard. I'm going to make things a little bit more difficult. It may not be that they lose the drones, but it is more about area denial. It's about forcing them to go in with, guess what? Not looking at the doorways and windows that are ahead of them. And that is where the problem comes in.
We spoke about him a little bit earlier on as well, but it feels like we're being ignorant if we don't mention it. DS, 4th rated in the whole competition, top for clutches. So far, sat at 0 and 4. Really hasn't come online, and whilst Gomez had a couple of good rounds to start, also fell a little bit quiet here. Some signs of life. The embers of brilliance almost for M80 are still there, just really yet to come online and start guaranteeing them round wins. Here, though, with 2 minutes left on the clock, they've got to work their way through. They can't find themselves getting held up again because this slower start of play seems to have really benefited STSG when it came around to trying to get control of things like initiation. Here we get the wall being opened up, and as mentioned previously, another full map clear coming in for this site from M80, which for SSG is music to their ears. The longer this takes, the slower it goes, the happier they'll be.
Absolutely. You know, M80, they need to get everybody, as you say, online. They've got a situation where Fultz, Rampy and Hot and Cold have got 16 kills, which is more as a 3 than M80 have got as an entire team at the minute. So they need those other players stepping up. Yeti is going to be holding the angle. He's going to be pushed potentially from the opposite side, but no, he's going to survive for just a little bit longer, holding on to that position. M80, they've got some breaches. They've got some opportunities to push forward, but it feels like they're just stalling out a little bit as Yeti manages to get the kill onto Spirits. He's been having a rough game so far, not being able to make the Monty players work, and now he's going to be taken out as an entry death, and the kills continue, but Kino and Yoga managed to get in around the side and level things up 3 versus 3.
It's a start. They've got some good control here, but again, let's not forget this isn't the site itself. The other 3 members of SSG just tucked away very happily, saying, okay, you've lost 2 attackers trying to push in through the top floor. We've lost 2 defenders. We don't mind that. There are no C4s available for Fultz or Bosco. They have already been used, but again, with 45 seconds on the clock, M80 need to find a way to try and make this work. Last time around, they were boxed out by the 3 remaining defenders from SSG, so based on how things are going here, Tim, I'm a little bit nervous that they'll find a way through.
I'm interested on Bosco, on the Mozzie, just inside of the window there. He could, you know how good he is, and it's taken him a little bit in this tournament, I think, to get rolling. He picked up his first clutch today, I think, but you just know he's one of those players that will close rounds out. Diaz manages to get Rampy. That could be the start of Diaz getting himself going. Bosco playing tight on the window there. If they try to come in, it's surely going to be a freebie. He goes actually aggressive, can't find his man, and that is going to be the final kills coming in. M80, Bosco really needed to find that one on the window.
Real good trade at the end there as well. Got a bit nervous for M80 as we hit the last 15. I was like, okay, you're coming in through a window where there's a Frostbat and the player ready to challenge you. Either you jump in, get the immediate headshot, and then rely on your team to win the 2 versus 2. Otherwise, you need assistance from elsewhere, and assistance did come from bathroom side. So good stuff to bring it up to 4 and 2. Like I said earlier on, I wouldn't be beating yourself up too much here if you're M80. You're saying here, look, guys, we were a small misstep in a 4v2 and also a 1v1 away from us being up 4-2 on our map pick on the attack. Now they go to the defense. It's SSG who have got to try and figure their way through what should be a very strong M80 defense.
Throughout the tournament, Theme Park has seen about a 60% defender win rate. It was about 57% earlier when G2 were playing on here, but I know that G2 did well on the defense, so I'm going to skew the stats a little bit. I don't know if it'll be at exactly 60 yet, but I think we have seen some improvement again on the defender side today. So it's there or thereabouts, and really SSG, yep, they've got part of the course there. They've got the 4-2 that they needed to get. I think they might see that as a little bit of a missed opportunity. They played very well. There was the potential, I think, at least for a 5-1 to come in there, but unable to get that done. But let's see now. This is where we get into the real fascinating bits. This is where we get into the meat of this match, and that is, how do SSG do on the attack?
Meat and potatoes, Tim. We love them from the UK.
We do.
Big fan of SSG. Toad in the hole.
Love a roast dinner.
Don't. You make me want one now. It's been about a week and a half. Don't know how I'm going to survive the next 5 days.
A good Yorkshire pudding. Which confuses the rest.
Yorkshire. It's not actually a pudding. Don't let the name.
Not a dessert. It is savoury.
Fast move here into the wall coming in. They've got to be careful about Spirits. He's off towards the right, and Yeti just gets absolutely slapped out by Kino there as he tries to round the corner. I appreciate the pace at which they've tried to move here and to make things happen quickly, but they've done nothing to clear out yellow stairs, to clear out the player that was hanging around 90. And here, Kino trying to get cheeky, but Hot and Cold's got the answer in the form of a bullet. Down he goes, 4v4.
It's absolutely ruined by Hot and Cold there. Beautiful long shot. Now then, M80 have still got a lot of top floor control here. A couple of players on mezzanine. In fact, Gomez, he's going to take the opportunity to get himself back down into sight while he can. Spirits looks like he's going to be sticking around for a while longer. He needs to. That is good. So, I was just going to say that is good at 1:40, getting that wall open in maintenance, but there's going to be an impact trick, and there is another one in pocket for Diaz.
3 more in pocket for the whole team as well. They can keep on denying this all day long, but again, it almost feels like SSG are trying to, open walls and execute without really considering that there are 5 players on the field there looking to stop you getting some control. So really I'd like to see them try and do a bit of work to unsettle a couple of players here. At the very least, give your hard breacher a bit of a chance to make things happen here. Over it comes over the top, and I think they've got rid of it. Long range, no! First one didn't hit, the second one I think just a fraction of a second too late, and maintenance is open, Tim.
Yep, that's better. Hot and Cold has got 1 Selma left in pocket as well. I'd like to see that deployed on one of these other walls. As I say, multiple angles, much like Church Church and Arsenal on Clubhouse, where we like to see that push into blue, a bit of dirt tunnel, you know, just really making the defenders spin around on their heels, because we saw in the very first round today with Fultz and Rampy what can happen if you don't, if that push is too one-sided. Spirits, he's going to drop himself back downstairs. Yes, this is what I wanted to see. Hot and Cold is potentially going to get that barrels wall open as well. There is one impact nade left, so it could be denied away, but Gomez, he manages to get one. Bosco with a direct trade though, and that leaves us now in a 3 versus 3. Diffusers going down, Des.
They forced them up through split as well. They were too scared of the flashes, the pressure coming through. A C4 over the top could be enough. No, great step away by Bosco and can now resume control. Hot and Cold's got one on the cross here. SSG have got a brilliant crossfire and sets up. 15 seconds left and the plant goes down 2v2.
This is a desperate fight to the death inside a site now, and it's all going to come down to Fultz. He's on the Finker, doesn't have a health boost available at the minute, so he's just going to go in and continue trying to fight. He's got multiple options, they know where he's coming from, but all he needs to do, Des, is keep distracting them for long enough. He needs to make this difficult, kill the cover, that's the one. But no, Spirits on the shotgun will be the man. That's the closest we've seen attackers come in this game to winning that site, but even still, M80 able to turn it around. I feel for SSG a little bit there, Des. It was a beautiful execute. Multiple walls open, great crossfire, gave Bosco the opportunity to get that diffuser down, just couldn't hold on to it in the post plan. It is a difficult site to get out of once you're in.
Range on the shotgun as well, ludicrous.
Yeah.
That was the first plant going down in this game as well. We didn't see a single one back in the first half coming out from M80. Really good recover from them overall. I liked how, I know it looked like they were continuing a lot of ground, but they did kind of maneuver away and said, look, we're losing control of barrels, we're losing control of maintenance. There is nowhere inside a throne that is safe for you to play. So they had no choice but to move their way up north, through split, or back in towards the top side of site. Fundamentally, though, managed to win on the, I suppose, air quotes, retake, although they never really left site in itself. They were still in the room, just opted to step back forward once the control had already been established. SSG, that lead that they had now looks very, very narrow. Only one round in it between the two teams, and you can see M80 battling their way back into this, Tim.
This is exactly the same as every game that has come before it today, and I love it. Every time you've looked at the scoreboard, it's been 4-3, 5-4, 4-4. It's just been every game, you know, teams that are so well matched, and this is what happens on this day of Invitational, whereby a bunch of teams are going home, everybody is fighting for their very lives inside of the tournament, and I think we're in for another 4 games this evening, this one included, that are going to be exactly the same as this.
A real scrap and a battle, absolutely. I mean, it's what you want at this stage of the tournament. I would hate to see teams go out with a whimper at this point. I'd rather they be remembered for really close games, strong performances, for example. You know, maybe Sonics will be remembered for the wrong reason, throwing a 4v1 against Shuttle, for example. But it's just one of those, Tim. It happens, and it's not maybe the right thing to be remembered by, but again, I think most teams would rather be remembered for a good performance than going out getting, for example, 7-2, 7-1.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you might as well go out swinging in the last round, even if it's not, you know, what you might ideally want to see. SSG going to be starting again with the top floor clearance. They're going to be attacking onto lab and storage this time. That's going to be the second site of choice for M80. You feel if M80 can lock down this second defense, they're pretty well positioned to take us to potentially overtime at least. It's all going to be coming down to that tertiary site unless SSG can do something special. They're currently working their way across 1 minute 15. They're not doing bad. They've managed to reach as far as office now, and they can start disrupting these defenders.
I'm pretty sure every single door and archway has been barricaded off there by M80 as well. I know it looks like a really minor thing, but to have to work through every single one on your way through, like Buck, for example, has had to go through loads of his ammo just to be able to burn through these. You then had Sledge having to work his way through office and going through 3 of them as well. It's not like it's the master plan that's going to win you around, but it does shave off that 10, 15, 20 seconds to get all the way forwards, and then you've got to deal with keeper barricades that you simply can't do at range. So I think it's really smart coming out of M80. Maybe you're hoping the attackers will burn through some of their range utility like a frag grenade to safely remove those barricades at distance, but here there's still far more work to do. Stepping forwards now, SSG have found themselves 2 kills, M80 failing a little bit, Tim.
Yep, this is a great start for SSG. They need, if they want to win.
Oh, that's C4. The timing pull. Yogg, no!
He's missed his chance, Yoga. You were just too late on that one. SSG, if they can get the attacking round win now, it changes the landscape of this game, Des. We've spoken about how M80 are going to be aiming for that 4-2 minimum, try and get themselves to overtime, but this is their second choice site, and if SSG can take it away, all of a sudden it starts looking good, but the diffuser gets dropped outside as Bosco is found by Kino out of the window, leaving us now 4 versus 3, 20 seconds left to go, and the diffuser still needs to be delivered to the site.
I was about to say crack Kino, but the only thing is crack now is down into the ground. The earth that he's buried under. Rampy rounds for one more again. What a game he's having. SSG looking pretty good here. Diaz, the last one left standing. The real poster child for M80 here at SI, has got to do it against 4 as the plant is going down.
It's almost certainly going to be stuck, and we will see it confirmed there as Hot and Cold gets the plant. Diaz just trying to push forward. He's got the Storm in hand. It's certainly not a bad weapon to be finding a few kills with, but a 1 versus 4 with at which point SSG definitely going to be outside of the windows, outside of the map and waiting for the fight. But M80 have lost almost every single head-to-head gunfight in that round. I'm thinking about Diaz at the end. I'm thinking about the kill that Rampy found coming down arcade stairs. Every time it's been 50-50, SSG have come out on top of it, and they just look like a different beast. Put this performance next to their day 1, day 2, and let's have a look at the difference, because SSG are looking pretty good right now.
I feel like we've stepped back to SI 2020, Tim. Seeing Fultz and Rampy consistently winning gunfights against... Yeah, let's not beat about the bush here. There are a lot of veterans, older players still in the game that are, you know, being put to test. No, absolutely nothing wrong with that, Tim.
Nothing wrong with that, Des.
You and I are in that club. But really being put to test by a lot of the new young gunners that are coming in. You know, DS being one of them, looking at players like Newers. We've seen Spoit popping off. Benja. There's a lot of very young young talent coming in that are absolutely phenomenal and really making sure that you can still deliver. Rampy and Fultz this game have been unbelievable. I know they're both at 7 and 5. You can't ignore Hot and Cold, but to see 2 of the older players on this roster that have been around for a good while still up there with the best is a really encouraging thing for SSG and exactly what they needed in this series. There is still work to do. It is only 5 and 3. I'm speaking like it's maybe 6-2, 6-3 here. A lot more to do, and M80 can still battle their way back in, but we've really got to see DS start delivering the goods.
I mean, experience is something that I put in my, my pre-tournament notes for SSG.
I thought you were about to say you put in your CV, and I was like, of course you do, Tim, because it's all you got.
It's all I've got. It's all I'm bringing to the table. Age and experience. No, it's something that I put in my notes about SSG. You cannot ignore it from this roster. They've got a core of 3, Fultz, Rampy, and Bosco particularly, who've been with the org for a long time and a lot of experience. You've then got Hot and Cold, who's obviously, not been there quite as long, but still has been around the game as long. It's just there is a fantastic recipe for success there with players that are not going to be rattled by difficult situations. They've been in them, they've been through them, they've won through them, they've done it before. And then you've got Yeti. If he can start delivering the numbers that he has inside of NAL over the next few days, then SSG could become a real force.
For now, he's moral support. He's just screaming at DS every time they win around. Like, DS! Just letting him know, hey, where are you? What's going on? We ain't seeing you, buddy. And right now, they really do need to be seeing you if you're M80. But we said about this, Tim, SSG have played a game today. They're warm, they're ready, they're more than familiar with how to play this one out as well against M80, a team they've played across the NAL 3 times this year, beaten 2 of those 3 times. So you'd hope a little bit more kind of au fait, a bit more experience with the playstyle that comes out of M80, and so far have found all the right answers. Hot and Cold's turn on the Monty, by the way.
It certainly is. They've got control of control, so they're going to be pushing in towards initiation. He hasn't got himself led down at the minute. He's been misdrawn there. They're not aware of his position. This is going to have to be damaging.
Oh dear,
It's going to be the Monty.
No, now they know.
They know. They've put
he's got one.
Yoga's got one. Hot and Cold on the trade, though, and that works out pretty well for SSG.
That could have gone very, very wrong if we didn't have Hot and Cold looking off to his left there as he rounded that corner. The Monty would have been down, and that wouldn't have quite been round over, but it would have been a serious setback to basically have a player being rendered ineffective and bringing nothing into the round itself. M80 backing away slightly here and just saying to SSG, you want the ground, then by all means step into our cave. But there's still so much to do and still so much control they don't yet have. All I'm noticing though really is Fultz behind them. He thought he was going to work through Cafe here and really try and go for a backstab, but here he's going to rotate over towards Break Room and hook up with his team.
Yeah, this is it. SSG need to find a kill or two before they start going in trying to get a plant down. I think it's going to be difficult to cover Hot and Cold from this position. He's pushed his way all the way through to Arcade Mez though, and he's just forcing Diaz back there on the Wamai. Now then Kino, big kill onto Bosco, and it's all starting to fall apart as Kino doubles down, finds himself another, and that's going to be a double in the middle of the round, leaving us now 2 versus 4. Rampy comes in though, gets one. This is still doable. Diffuser is going to start going down, but no, as Rampy is killed, that's going to be it. Diaz at the end with a nice double for him, and that's M80 taking themselves the defense of Bunkendeke.
So well played by M80 as well. You just saw them consistently stepping back like a line of hurdles. They were trying to make SSG jump over. Every time they got control of one area, there was nowhere to be seen for M80. They were all in the shadows. Then they get the next line. M80 moved back yet again. They had 2 players out on the arcade balcony, for example. 1 dug in by Cafe. There was only 1 player actually on site itself. But as soon as the step forward comes in, Diaz is there to jump all over them, get the 2 kills they need, and make sure M80 are staying competitive. 4 to 5 now. And we move back downstairs onto that primary site, Tim.
It's a really smart play from Yoga there. I don't know how much information he had, but the kill that he managed to find onto Yeti, you could see the thought process that he just thought, you know what, I'm not engaging the Monty because there's a good chance that I'll lose this kill. He's massive shield in front of his body. You know, even with his pistol out, there's just a good chance that I'll lose this. I need to do something what I can. And getting that kill onto Yeti was it. And it was a really good decision from him. So we're going to head down to Armour in Throne. Gomez is just struggling with his shield a little bit there. He was trying to get it positioned up on top of the box, but just could not find the sweet spot that would allow him to do so. So that's just meant that he's had to position it slightly behind there. We'll see if that has any impact. There's going to be a keeper barricade played in that position to offer the same sort of cover.
Only one of SSG's 3 attacking rounds where they haven't got the plant down as well. Had it in both of those first 2 rounds. As a reminder, 0 for M80 coming in the first half, so a bit of a different objective focus coming out from SSG, at least up to this point.
Bolts straight away towards the bathroom window, I think just conscious of any potential peaks coming out. M80 not wanting to play with that sort of aggression so far, and it's understandable. You know, you tend to see it out of your players who've been hitting some big shots and maybe, you know, feeling the blood pumping and they're ready for it. They're up to the windows, they're up to the edge of the map, but for M80 it feels like a much more measured affair than that at the minute.
It does, and this is where I really need to see SSG getting a little bit backstabby here as well. If you know that M80 are adapting to what you're doing, if they're kind of like skirting around you in the shadows and then strike you and they know they can get a kill, you need to be the ones to really take the initiative here and try and find a way to unravel this. 2 of them out towards lab storage, quite a spread actually across the map overall for M80. Only one of them, I think, on site at this point. But as we saw last time, SSG tried to go direct to site, opening up a couple of walls, and they were shut down at both turns.
They were. It was a great attack from SSG. I did like it, but as you say, it just didn't work out for them in the end. It's just such a tough site to attack onto. That's what we've been seeing over SI so far. Teams really struggling to get it done. Now then, we're going to have M80 just completely falling back to site. That's all 5 on site, halfway mark of the round. They've decided enough's enough. They're going to keep a barricade off the doorway when the time comes, and that is going to leave them now to just turtle up and hold on.
Down to a minute and 15 does mean as well that it's getting to a point where this does start to have an impact. You know, SSG have still got to do a lot of setup work. They're looking towards that vertical control. They're still got to work their way through these walls, potentially. Lots of stuff to figure out on their way towards the site here, and it's odd to actually find, Tim, that we've got all 5 alive on both sides.
It is. An odd position for the electrical there. I dare say that through the wall it could probably be seen. Obviously, they've got to spot it, and they've got to know that it's there. But I think with lying prone, you would surely be able to see that from inside of barrels. Maybe I'm incorrect, but we're going to have the yellow wall going to be opened. That is successfully done. So that is the ingress point for SSG. Rather than trying to push for the plant behind Throne Des, they're going to be playing for it in behind Pillar.
Really want to find a couple of kills here as well. Look, SSG got a player on either side. They've got one playing upstairs. Well, I'll tell you what, he's looking to get himself up them stairs there away from the Warden too. Bosco's got the right idea. There is one off towards the right-hand side, but Tim, there's 20 seconds left and no one has died yet. This is going to be an absolute slaughter.
It is. I don't see any way that SSG come out on top of this, to be honest. There's too many angles for them to push into. Kino, he's going to find the first onto Hot and Cold. Rampy manages to get Gomez, 4 versus 4, but there's no opportunity to get the diffuser down. Absolutely not a chance. They're going in. They've being just cut down as they step foot inside. Yoga Spirits getting one apiece, and that is going to be M8 taking the round and leveling things up 5-5.
There we go. That's the catch-up point we've been looking for. Again, for SSG, just leaving things a bit too late there to try and make the play happen. But really, a lot of that came down to M80 in the early round, forcing them to chase shadows around the map for the longest while. And then when there was 75 seconds left, there was still everything to do. Electro Claws were still available. They had players ready on either side of the wall to go for the challenge once the breach opened up. Just no real control being established by SSG. And maybe this is where you're starting to see the cracks show a little bit on a map pick that isn't really their own. It was M80's map pick, and no doubt you can see why it is their most popular map overall.
Yeah, M80 definitely waking up now, and it's not going to be an easy finish for SSG at the minute. I sort of look at it, I think SSG are going to be thinking about these last 2 rounds, thinking we still need to get one here.
Yep.
You know, we still need to get one of these if we want to take it into overtime. That's surely going to be the focus at the minute, is guaranteeing themselves that extra bit at the end. Initiation Office is going to be our defensive site for M80. We will likely see the push from SSG coming in one of 2 ways. It'll either be through Cafe and Break Room trying to get control over the west side, or there is the more direct approach of Control and Cash. The majority of attention that we've seen from the attacks during this map has been from Control and Cash.
My only frustration for SSG, well, it's not my only, but the main one is that they keep on playing into the setup as well out of M80. I mentioned last round, I want to see more of a backstab attempt coming in, trying to do something a little bit different, getting behind them, cut off their retreats back, pincer on the members that are playing a little bit further away from sight. And here where you saw the setup coming out of M80, it was facing out towards the east side, out towards Dragon. Already we've got 2 players from SSG working their way in from the west side, Bosco on the upstairs, Fultz on the under, so they are trying to kind of play it from the less favourable side, arguably, for M80, but the difficulty being against an Azami, every side is favourable.
Fultz is already inside of the map here. It's that aggression that we were speaking about. You know, maybe it needs to be SSG that take the fight if M80 are not keen to do so and are playing more of a shadow game. Yeti, he's got the nade in hand. He's going to be moving out.
That for a while.
Not going to catch hold of his man. He's back up to the top of Yellow Stairs. And again, M80 just playing that game well of sort of just towing the line, just getting themselves up to the point of a conflict. And then actually we're going to just step back a little bit. We're just going to burn a little bit more time. We're just going to let you keep chasing us.
My main nervousness is here is they've all now gone for the west side, so rather than having 1 or 2 coming in, DS almost going down. Rather than 1 or 2 coming in on Dragon's side, everyone has gone towards the west. I'm all for pushing as a group here, but it feels a bit too predictable for M80 to be able to deal with. Doesn't stop Yoga being the first one going down. Hot and cold to start things off as he moves up to 12 and 6.
That's something for SSG at least, and again, I like this, that they're taking the chance, they're trying something different. As I said, the majority of attacks so far have come in from the opposite side of the map. They're trying to catch M80 out, but they're not going to, as Diaz and Gomez, they managed to find 2, leaving us now in a 4 versus 3. M80 with a good advantage here. They're actually only 1 of M80 is on site at the minute. They really have stepped up and taken this fight to SSG. Yeti, he's 1 versus 4, 1 versus 3. Can he find himself another? No, they dip into Cafe, and it is a matter of time until M80, for the first time on Theme Park, find themselves a lead.
They've really taken charge here, Tim, in the second half, and we kind of expected it. They probably felt unlucky, as we said, not to be 4-2 up after that first half, given how the first 2 rounds went. But here's an SSG tactical timeout.
It's fine. Like, most of these attacks, like, we're in, if we just, like, it's a little bit more, guys. Where do we think they're going to go now?
Lab.
Yeah.
We have third site, right? Lab or bone.
All right, what do we want to do? Let's talk about it.
I don't think we do the DZ attack. I think we gotta go east.
For lab? We could go east. You could try
Or
to
bump.
get them.
He's saying we could go bump. Lab,
Yeah,
I think we do. Lab, I think we try to take throne if they go there, and then we do like where we work up yellow, Mr. Quad.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that if they go.
Just kill us some guy. We should get a dope and do like dope goes outside Hell Hell.
We should take, like, some guy should take control still of Lava, because they give it to us. Like, we should.
This round's
Yeah,
our
one guy just pushes up the quad.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Alright, do lab. Who's going quad? Who's going pass?
No comment.
Recognising what I think we've been saying there, you know, SSG saying we need to go in and take control because they're giving it to us, you know, and that's what we've said about M80. They're not really pushing to meet SSG at the point of entry. They're not really pushing to get aggressive onto them. They're sort of happy to invite them in a little bit and then just waste time, and then take the fights later on. SSG wanting to take advantage of that. But I do have to say, you know, not to be too critical of the tactical timeout. Everybody's got their own styles individually, each team. It just felt for me like there wasn't a lot of urgency in that from SSG. It was very much, or even leadership. Even
a bit laboured.
It was just, well, yeah, we could kind of do this, or maybe we could try this, or rather than this is what we need to do to win, this is the confidence, this is what we're going to go for.
Yeah.
It was more sort of just, well, maybe this, we could try that.
I'm never really one to shy away from sticking my neck out a little bit to making some statements. And, I won't lie, during the group stage, I had a few comments about, how these tactical timeouts have gone. They have felt quite slow. Lycan only was on an interview and said, look, the guys trust me. It's the way that we work together. We know that it plays out. But again, I can't help but feel in a spot where your team's about to lose a map that's not your own pick. This is the time for someone to step up as a leader, whether it's coach or someone in game, and say, right, here's what we're going to do about it, rather than just saying, just a little bit more, guys. That's all we need. I do want to see something a bit more prescriptive at times like that when your team very clearly needs to push, because truthfully, I think that's what you're going to need to be able to go and win it all. I know some of the players on this team have already done it before. That was when they had Canadian on side. We know exactly what he's like when it comes to being a prescriptive leader, so that's what I think could be missing here. But SSG might just shut me up completely and win this round with a really good attack.
The thing is, I'm sure it's probably happened at the beginning of the round from the IGL. Like, I'm just thinking, if I'm in that team and I'm coming away, have I got a clear picture in my head now of, right, this is what I need to do, this is what needs to come from me. And I feel like there was maybe, a little bit of room there for, it might be this, it might be that. We'll see.
What we'll also say is I'm happy that, again, like I said the other day, Lycan's always had the belief and philosophy that teams need to be able to figure things out for themselves.
Absolutely, 100%.
You can't talk to them all game, so that's what he said there is, right, guys, what are we doing? Talk about it. Let's just talk for 45 seconds. So I don't fault that at all either. I think it's not a bad tactic to get the team talking, but it does draw that question of, okay, then who's really taking this ball by the reins and leading it all the way through? Let's see then, 90 seconds remaining here for SSG, potentially on Theme Park, unless they can pull this last round out the bag. We've got Fultz rocking up on the Amaru. He started out strong, as did Rampy. Both have slowed down a little bit in the second half, so we've got to see them come to life here, otherwise it's lights out.
Still, I won't say still setup work.
No. They're just transforming based on where
changing based on what is happening in front of them.
Shields being moved.
So they're going to start to rearrange so that they can front up. And again, that plays into what M80 have been doing so far. Here goes Fultz. That's well timed with the E1D. It's going to send him straight in, but he's going to face up to another barricade as a tactic that we've seen from M80 throughout. First kill goes to Diaz. Going to pick up hot and cold. Gomez with another. And M80, they've got their number here, Des. They know exactly what's coming, and once again SSG have struggled on the attacking half. That is where this map is likely to be lost. Jogger, he's looking to get aggressive. Nitro already gone, doesn't find his man, but it's 5 versus 3. It's 30 seconds left to go.
They've tried everything they can here. They've tried to take 3 separate 1v1s and lost out. In previous rounds, they've bunched up, but nothing is working to get through the M80 blockade. Yeti working his way up yellow, isn't aware of the player to his left, gets shut down. Fultz is the last one left standing. I don't see him doing it, and neither did M80. They take Theme Park 7-5.
Not the end of the world for SSG. It's M80's pick. They've gone in there. They've made a good game of it. I think the broader problem for it as a whole is that warms M80 up for the rest of it now. We saw that opportunity at the beginning of the map for SSG where they came in and they were knocking them about a little bit. But that's not going to be the case, you don't feel, on the second map. M80 are going to be straight up for it. And SSG, what we see in there for me plays into a little bit what I was saying at the end. It's, that tactical timeout seemed a little bit deflated, a little bit, lacking that, confidence that, this is what we're going to do, that drive, and it just sort of shows on them there. They seem a little bit tired, a little bit exhausted.
Well, Clubhouse is their map. It's time for them to get rallied up and see if they can keep themselves here at SI. They lose one more map and they are out. M80, though, want to make sure they're the ones inflicting that level of pain on SSG. Don't go anywhere. Back in a few minutes.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
back to the A stream here at Six Invitational 2023. You got me, Des, with this guy, Tim, and we are midway through M80 versus SSG. SSG starting off pretty strong and quite convincingly on theme park, Tim, with a 4-2 half, but simply could not get the job done against M80's brick walls that refused to bow down. They won 7-5, which means our next map is Clubhouse. It is SSG's map pick. Do we see 3 maps, Tim, or do you think this is done in 2?
I think SSG are always very difficult to beat on Clubhouse. I don't think they look terrible during theme park. You know, they made certainly a good game of it. What I am concerned about from the SSG point of view is the last couple of rounds that we saw. And that map and losing it, you know, from the position that they got themselves into after the first half, it obviously seems to have sort of hit them hard. And that would be my concern, really. There's possibly, if M80 are ruthless, an opportunity for them to really push on and take this on Clubhouse.
I was looking at some of the stats that we've seen across the last 12 months or so on this map. The teams have nearly played it a very even amount of times. SSG playing it 11 times, M80 playing it 10 times, though SSG do have the better defensive, well, overall win rate, sorry, at 63%, M80 only winning it half the time. And in case you missed that game, here are the scores on the doors. Hot and cold, shining and impressing for SSG. And despite a bit of a quiet start from DS, he was 0-4 at one point, did climb his way back up and have an impact in that second half.
It was, as you say, they needed it and they got it. It will, you know, again, potentially be a dangerous factor coming into this next map now. You know, if he's got himself gunning and he's starting to feel a bit more comfortable, warmed up for the day, that cost needs to go up a little bit, 58%, obviously not fantastic, but overall, it's certainly a good sign for M80 fans.
And also a good sign for us on the other stream, Tim. If you're an EU fan, like I guess we could kind of partly say we are. G2 starting off with a very strong 7-1 performance over Dark Zero. They're just starting off with their second map now. So plenty to tune into across both this channel here on Rainbow Six and also Rainbow Six Bravo, where that second game is going down. So Clubhouse is almost ready, I'm told. So we'll be getting in just a couple of minutes. I think for SSG, we know they play well on this map. They start off on the attacking side. Again, we know it's their home. They've got a strat named after them on it. M80, though, I've got no doubt they've done their homework. They would have been expecting a map pit like this. They'll be ready for it. Let's see if they can hold out, though, against SSG's onslaught in the first 6 rounds.
Here we go then, let's get this underway. You know, the majority of the games that we've seen so far today, all but one in fact, have been to 3 maps. It's been hard fought on every single occasion because, of course, you know, let's remember the stakes that are at hand, and that is that teams are going home. Teams are leaving the tournament at this point if they're not finding the wins, so they are certainly fighting for everything that they can. The first couple of bans are going to come in. We've got a Ying, we've got an Ace, so it's slightly interesting. I mean, one of the hard breaches there. We've got a Bandit as well. Certainly not the norm.
No, normally hard breach on this map, you see Hibana or Maverick taken away. Hibana, because there are so many hatches to open when attacking on the downstairs, you can keep on cycling through them even with impact charges coming in onto the kitchen hatch. And the Maverick, because even when things like Kaid are available, he can still chew his way through those hatches. A Ying ban coming in against SSG is 0. I'll go back to the meme I made the other day, Tim. SSG not enjoying a Ying ban coming in. Often it can be their kryptonite on some maps. Maybe this one proves to be that exact map. And personally, I really like the Azami ban. I do enjoy Azami. She does bring a lot to the game, but does really slow things down as well. Creates a lot of frustration for the attackers. You know, I think at this point, we're going to see a picked or banned basically in every single game. Presence will be very, very high across the whole competition. But here, she will not be available, which does open up the field to operators like Valkyrie and Mira, though, Tim.
It does, you know, we've spoken about that a lot for the banning phases and how they are being sort of stretched at this point, and we're just getting, you know, more and more opportunity for those regular bans to now start seeing play, and I'm here for it. I love it. I love seeing the variation. I love teams having to really scratch their head and think about how they're going to deal with those operators. Mira is going to be brought along immediately. M80 starting on the defense might actually suit them down to the ground. You know, you've got SSG feel like they're on the ropes a little bit, and then you've got M80 starting on a strong side of Clubhouse, and they could well find themselves with a good advantage, and SSG having to fight back from that to keep themselves in the tournament.
For sure. Here we go then. See how SSG do on this side of things. The Mirror being deployed in towards blue. It's interesting, actually, because a couple of players were tweeting the other day and saying, oh, you know, you don't have enough time to do your full setup these days. There's, 30 seconds in, you might be getting rushed down by someone. Others saying, look, 45 seconds is plenty as long as your team have properly planned out what your setup is going to be. What I've enjoyed from M80 so far across both across this map, is hard to say, it's only round 1, but they are adjusting where they're doing their setup, it seems, as things go by. A very heavy blue presence coming here makes me not so much nervous, but a smidge aware. They need to be able to hold down blue because they've got this mirror window facing in towards Moto and in towards Church, which basically locks the whole thing down. No mirror window coming onto the triple Church wall, though. Everything is said is on that east side. So, if SSG read this well, they should know that main stairs might be a go-to play here. Combined together Moto, kitchen and main stairs, for example, feels like the way forwards.
Okay then, already taken possession of part of that top floor, starting to work their way across slowly but surely. Largely been given to them by M80, which sort of fits into the game plan that we've been seeing from them so far, so no surprises there. Rampy going to be using the opportunity of a little bit of safety to open those kitchen floors up from 3 floors up. He's going to be up in logistics, shooting all the way through, and that's going to give them the opportunity to get the hatch open. It may just breed a little bit more caution about impact tricking because the floor's been opened around the hatch.
Wonder where Yogg was going to be then, because he was the only one with the impacts in back pocket to be able to deny this hatch being opened up, but it's done for free. No contest coming in from the other side. So I think it feels like SSG have got a read on the right sort of thing here. They've opened up kitchen, opened up Moto. They've got a couple of players starting to set up around main stairs as well, so they are looking to push into the air quotes weak side of the setup. But then I can't help but look at all the gadgetry in the back pocket of M80. There's 3 C4s ready to start tossing skywards over that wall, assuming of course it's reinforced the right way for it, to then start to really shut things down. So really they could have actually baited SSG here into a bit of a death box.
Certainly could have done. Hot and Cold's going to open up those feet holes in. He gets 1 denied, 2 denied.
Tiny little
Doesn't
hole.
have any ex-Kairos pellets left, so that is going to severely limit the angle there. Not fantastic. He gets a little bit of what he needs there. We've seen Palu over the years play this angle time and time again, just looking on into sight from the bottom of main stairs to try and cut down the rotations inside of sight. Well, my magnet's going to do its job there and just prevent that nade coming into Spirits. 18 seconds left to go. This is going to be very late from SSG.
It's a really good read as well from M80. I feel like they planned for everything here and have a solution. Hot and Cold in the spot to be able to challenge Kino with one with the shotgun. Goes for a second, but no, the long distance spray down comes in. They're absolutely slaughtering SSG. If you want to see how to counter a team, that's the way to do it. What a brilliant setup and round.
Flawless round there coming in. Absolutely fantastic stuff from SSG. Sorry, not from SSG, from M80.
Not brilliant stuff there, Tim.
SSG came up on the screen. You'll allow me my one mistake. It was brilliant. Spirits on the door, particularly. We've seen this position, just preventing access into Moto with the shotgun, played brilliantly. I love that from M80. Absolutely dominating.
For me, again, it was how the mirror window out towards the east actually set up as kind of a deterrent, but also a bait in towards attacking main stairs. They had the... part of it, truthfully, I kind of want to put on SSG. Banning away the Ace, I think, was an interesting one because they don't want to bring the Maverick. There's no electrification. Why bother? You've got the Thatcher for that. Which means, really, they're looking at both the Hibana and the Thermite to be the things that get them on towards site there. But they've relied on everything. 8 ex-Kairos pellets on towards the church wall was all they were really looking for. And outside of that, they were pushing into bottlenecks. So it was a really good response from M80 to shut that down quite early on. Maybe less on SSG to not want to get the triple wall completely opened up, really kind of shoehorn themselves into either pushing into mirror windows, dropping in towards kitchen as a death drop, or trying to force your way through Moto door, and M80 just had the shutdown ready. Really well played.
Yep, it was looking good for them. Now then, we go into round 2. M80 going to move up to gym and bedroom this time around, so it's going to be their first chance at the top floor, and then we'll see what comes as the third chance pick should they win this site. Will it be CCTV cash or will it be bar and stage?
Excellent question.
A little bit of a leaning towards both at different times through the tournament, so we will see exactly how that goes. For the time being, it's largely a site-based presence for M80 here. About the furthest they've extended out is Yogger at the top of red stairs. Diaz is playing cash sort of very loosely, more in construction than anything. So it's not going to take too much, I don't think, from SSG to force them back.
A little bit of flexibility being offered in construction with 2 players here who could very quickly step across and look to contest. And going back to what we heard on Theme Park, Tim, M80 aren't really too keen on aggressing into SSG early in the round. If I think back to teams like G2 with Doki, they like to be challenging at basically every single window they have the opportunity to try and shut you down in the early round. Whereas M80 kind of back themselves to play well around the utility use of SSG, and so far they're doing just that. They are going through shields, they are being forced back, but they don't really seem to mind that. It's like trying to box with shadows. It's really hard for SSG to convert a kill because they're a little bit slow. They're not very good at pincering onto players or isolating them. Here, for example, opening up the single construction wall first might have been nice, or challenging on towards the construction window, but it's only just been opened. So M80 saying, look, we know how you guys play. We know we'll be able to deal with anything you throw at us because you're not particularly adept at getting a pincer in.
Rotero drone is going to go in and just start to try and clear Yoga out of that position, but he's alert and alive to the danger, manages to take it down, keep his shield intact. We see Shaco, of course, playing in that spot so frequently, so regularly. It's not close enough. It's not going to be able to get the shield. They're going to have to keep on trying here.
He impacted it out because I think he was worried it was too close.
Yeah, exactly. Whilst Yoga's in that position, it's just going to leave it very, very difficult for SSG to push forward, and time is seriously ticking by.
Surely that's not it as well. Like, that's all SSG have got to be able to throw at that shield, and now it's going to be able to impede them. Rampy's probably the only one left when you look at it with frag grenades that can make a difference, but I guarantee you there are going to be magnets inside of there. Again, surely M80 have not locked them out here just through that one simple bit of play, but it feels like they might. Gomez looking to challenge a nade coming in from Rampy here to try and put a little bit of support in. Will he find anyone? No, he won't. It's overcooked.
SSG need kills desperately here, but they're just not finding them. They're not forthcoming. Rampy doesn't want to drop the hatch at the minute because of the smoke. Fultz is going to find the kill onto Gomez, though. That gets things going for SSG. Toxic Babe canister goes out. It's going to be the final one. The opportunity is here. 15 seconds left to go. It's go time, SSG. You need to move in and start thinking about a plan. Yoga stood in the middle of site. He's going to hold them off. He's going to be full white flashed in a second. Kills going either way. 2 versus 3 as it shakes down. 2 versus 2. Where's that diffuser though? Bosco, he's going to be able to put it down. Out comes one impact. Out comes another, but it won't stop him. 2 kills to be found. That's 1. That's 2. Unbelievable clutch from Kino. All he has to do is disable the activated diffuser, and that is going to absolutely batter the mental of SSG.
I love how he celebrated even before things have got underway with the actual disable there, but he had all the time in the world. SSG doing good to at least get an execute off there with the numbers advantage, but that clutch potential out of Kino coming through, and they get the shutdown.
Well, that is... It's I won't say catastrophic, but it's certainly bad news for SSG. It is a tough loss to take, and they are starting to stack up now. Theme Park obviously felt like a tough loss for them. We saw that at the end of the game. You know, and every round that they lose like that is just going to feel like it's piling up and like the fate is more and more sealed. We're going to head over to CCTV and Cash for round 3, and M80 starting to look like they might just have hit cruise control.
Well, the one thing I kind of want to give is it's a balance of karma in a way, right? Again, not forgetting how the first 2 rounds went back on Theme Park, where SSG arguably snagged a couple of rounds that they shouldn't have. This is M80 getting at least 1 back on their side from that round with Kino having a nice clutch coming out. I can't help but ignore how the first 2 minutes of that last round went, though. I know that ultimately SSG managed to pull off an execute in relatively good fashion, but prior to that, it felt like they were stalling out against some real bare basics coming out from M80. You know, they got through the shield at the top of top red, great. They started working through construction, and then got themselves stuck and able to get rid of a shield despite having frag grenades on side, 4 Roteros on side, and not unable either to move Gomez out of Logi until the very end of the round. So it felt like they were kind of following a checklist, but just couldn't fully complete everything off, and at the end said, well, what we've got is what we've got. We've got to try and make it work from here. Not the most prepared, you know, SSG I've ever seen, especially for Clubhouse.
Going to be getting that East Breach open nice and quickly, as we would expect. Thatcher Charge is going to just assist in that process. So that's pretty much
40 seconds done.
Yeah, we would expect that. This is why we don't always see Cash and CCTV as much anymore. The real key, to be honest, is not the wall, it's Spirits in this position on Catwalk. As long as he can keep himself here, that's going to be the sticking point. Interested
to find out why, and I'd love to ask them later on potentially, you know, why we've got DS playing top red here when you've got the Jaeger being the one playing inside a garage. Because normally a sticker will mine there to keep on tossing these discs around and make it really hard to force them out. The main reason I could think of is they're not expecting a big garage presence happens to come through. Just a little bit of one, and Spirits is in there to bait his, to lose his life, essentially, to really commit towards this. Now, that seems to be the play for SSG, as they've got 2 or 3 players starting to really ramp up here to start their march forward. Those 2 ADSs will not last long, though, in the face of those smokes, or the flashes, sorry, coming out of Bosco, and the frag grenades from Rampy that will follow afterwards.
Going to push the shield in, try to deal with that top floor. Glaz is just walking in through the smoke as well. The thing is, it's a one-shot chance is the problem. Fultz is taking a lot of damage from the Toxic Babe canister there, and you threw your smoke canisters, you don't have many more opportunities. Gomez is down in oil pit, and this could prove to be a real problem. Fultz has been forced back out, and now Spirits, he does have the Monty to deal with, which won't be easy. He needs a little bit of support here, really. If they can get this kill, that is fantastic, but no, Gomez from underneath does great work. It is going to see Spirits downed, but there is an opportunity for M8 to keep that pressure on Catwalk.
Again, you've got so many nades that you can chuck up here as well. Flashes in Bosco's back pocket are largely unused and really could have made this a much more advantageous fight coming in. Only now they're coming through, and it feels a little bit too late at this point. You knew that he was down. They burned through it a little bit late, but the damage has been done. They've lost the Monty for, I don't want to say no reason, but that really shouldn't be happening.
No, it shouldn't. Fultz has got himself up to the position where he can start pressure inside. Now, SSG do have almost everything they need to get a plant down here. The big problem that they've got is the players underneath. They haven't dealt with them. As soon as they try to put that diffuser down, it's likely that we're going to see that Nitro coming into play, that we're going to see Gomez on the Solus making life difficult. The Thatcher EMPs to potentially deny any pre-placed Nitro, but it's a little bit too late. 7 seconds left to go. They're going to have to rush this SSG.
Gomez
they need to start getting the diffuser down. It looks like the call has come to go for kills. Fultz in the last second is going to try to do it, but surely Gomez is able to deny.
Hello, I was going to say, surely he finishes this off. Had to run through a wall first, get into stock, and then go for the spray. But Tim, I can't help but go back to what I said about the last round. It feels very bare basic checklist coming out of SSG. That one was okay, open East breach, take control of Garage. Oh, we forgot about the nades, though. We can use those towards the end. When they've got control of Garage, there is no one contesting on the below, and yeah, let's have a listen.
Because it does seem like they're giving us a lot of space to, you know, do whatever we're gonna do. So let's make sure we're using it and we give ourselves enough time. Like the gym round, like came down the last second, so.
Let's just try to take a zone fast this round. Wherever they are.
Yeah, changing pace will be good against these guys.
Yep.
Yeah. If they go back lower, we should just do that dirt. Kitsch dirt with, just leave me blue. I can just play cat blue. I'll just get him out of blue and like box and just fuck with them. Leave me solo.
Could we try to take Garage fast and like push to Goose like quick? Because this guy runs down red like off me with their ring.
Yeah, I'll watch Secret. I'll play this.
Alright, I'll get in Garage.
They don't play Raptors. They don't play Raptors.
No, they don't.
Really sad.
Kind of comes back to what I said earlier on about wanting to try and pincer onto a player or two from M80. You know, the reason why they're giving you space, guys, ultimately is they know that you're not going to be able to punish them. They're happy to just slowly move their way back as you step forward and then pick you off when the execute or the late round in general comes around. But I'm not surprised the tactical timeout comes in there, Tim. They're down 3-0. It's their map pick. It's not looking good for SSG. They have to turn it around here and now.
They do. The part of the problem, I think, as well, I like the tactical timeout more than I did previously. I think there was, you know, a more specific focus there. You know, it was very much about, right, let's do this, let's move in there quickly, let's take that area. You know, and there were specifics there, rather than at the end of Theme Park, where, as I say, it felt a bit more like, you know, sort of lacking that confident approach of, you know, sort of committed to this is what we're going to do. But yeah, SSG at the minute they're on the back foot, and I'm worried that they're already beaten.
I have a feeling it's going that way as well. Now, I like Fultz on the Twitch here. Last time round we spoke about, it's a basically identical setup coming out from M80 on the downstairs, by the way. 2 mirror windows out towards the east, triple reinforced off entirely. No electrification or anything along those lines coming in, but I think the Twitch here could be the difference maker. If he can get rid of those 2 mirror windows, suddenly that blue side of the map becomes a little bit of a death trap for the side of M80. They won't be able to play around it. A lot of the site will be very opened up, and SSG should absolutely look to get control of blue, assuming they can get those mirror windows, though.
Church and Arsenal will be the defensive site for M80. Pretty much all on the downstairs. They're going to be playing this turtle, so SSG will have their opportunity that they wanted, which was to move in quickly, take space, and use what was being given to them. So let's see if they can make that pay dividends. They're a minute into the round. There is still a little bit of drawing going on, but SSG are starting to establish themselves.
Definitely. And again, for me, it's these shock drones. They are going to be the big difference now. If these get whiffed down dirt and just get taken out for free, then that's a real issue. There's going to be one gone, one left Fultz. Don't waste it.
That's it, as you say, really need to find the value out of them. Going to start with the process of trying to open the kitchen hatch. I think they might just get that immediately. Doesn't sound like it's being tricked out at all. We've got Spirits with the little nitro toss ready. We know that kill box at the bottom of main stairs can be a nightmare for attackers. SSG making good progress though, halfway through the round. Kitchen hatch open, looking to open dirt now. They're going to have to do some work to be able to push down there because they've got Kino on the smoke playing in there and he's going to resist as much as he can. But not terrible so far. It's looking good.
I'm nervous. Hot and Cold's burned through all his ex-Kairos. That means Bosco is the only one here who can open up triple wall on the downstairs if they choose to push that direction. But there are still 2 impacts left in Yoga's back pocket. M80 can read into that. They can deny the exothermic if it goes down onto the triple wall, which then really means the mirror window is still intact, that SSG don't really have an ideal place to attack. Its attack is going to be forced again. Hot and Cold trying to work his way down through dirt here. Don't mind this too much. Spirits hits the deck as one comes down blue, and it is Fultz.
Going to be moving his way around, just trying to hold the angle onto the rotation there. It's going to have to be a real 3-2-1, and it looks like that's it, but it's not going to work out as Diaz steps up,
no one else
manages to find the kill onto Hot and Cold, and that is going to be no access to Dirt Tunnel by the looks of it. That is the push over from there. So SSG, they're going to have to work from 2 angles at most, but dropping Kitchen Hatch without Dirt Tunnel is a difficult thing to do, and this is exactly why they're dropping into crossfires. There's kills left, right, and centre for M80 at the minute. Rampy, he manages to find one, but surely it's just a consolation, Des. 10 seconds left to go, and he's just trying to find anything he can, but it is over in round 4 for SSG. Kino seals the deal, and that's M80 going 4-0 up on Clubhouse.
Executed with perfection.
I have not felt this frustrated watching a team play Siege in a long time. Like, this is your map. You are known for your performances on Clubhouse, but these attacks, it sounds bad, but I've seen better from like teams in T4 and T3 over in the UK. Like, what is going on, boys? The bare basics are missing here. We're not dealing with the mirror windows. We're not opening triple. We're burning through all of our utility in really silly, unneeded places. And they're finding themselves having to force a drop coming in through kitchen with one person trying to backstab up blue. That's not SSG. That's not the team that's won an Invitational before. That's not the team that we saw earlier on today against Heroic. What is going on?
Okay then, Gym and Bedroom. Gym and Bedroom, M80 won this back in round 2 reasonably convincingly as well. The problem for SSG that just couldn't clear Yoga out was the top and bottom of it. He played inside of construction in what is, you know, quite commonly known as the Shaco spot, just inside of the doorway. He had his shield. There was nothing SSG could do to clear him, and they had to then just go elsewhere. They had to try and drop logistics hatch. They had to try and get other things going, and it just led them into the guns of M80 and was a big, big problem. So SSG, you got to do something different here. You know, I'd maybe like to see them open jacuzzi wall. Let's get hold of CCTV. Let's apply some window pressure. You know, let's not play into that setup again.
They've got to turn something around, and I don't know if Blitz is going to be the answer to that, Tim.
No.
With nade, this is not a good start.
I feel like it is clutching at straws a little bit.
I mean, across 4 rounds to have how many kills in the team? 7? You know, that's less than 2 per round. That's how uninspiring and unimpactful it currently feels. And one of those came down to a really tight round in a 1 versus 1 as well. You know, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse if I keep on going on about it, but it's your map pit. We have to see better. Fultz working his way up towards main stairs. Wonder if he has information from his team here. With a little bit of info, they'll know there's a player inside of Logi. They can look to strike. It's Spirits holding up there, who's slightly exposed. Does have a second player nearby as well. So if Fultz times this right, and timing is the issue that's felt a little bit off for SSG in both maps, has been when players move, they tend to move alone. Everyone else then follows 10 seconds later. It has to be at the same time. If he's going to backstab, something else has to be happening to distract M80.
Absolutely. I think M80 have potentially left the door open here. There's no barbed wire, there's no proximity alarm, there's no Banshee. I know that, you know, we don't necessarily have the operators for those, but my point is there is nothing on those main stairs to signal that somebody's pushing up there. Spirits has had a little face check there, but I just don't think they've got any idea about Fultz's presence, and this could actually be a really big play from SSG. Like you say, Des, it comes down to timing. What they need to do is take M80's eye off the ball so that Fultz can come in and get a couple of freebies.
I mean, I like the patience being shown by Fultz. He's hoping someone rotates across the top here. So far, okay, I don't know what that was meant to be, but now because again, because he's alone, and now, okay, they've tried to make a move. Hot and Cold has come in here at the same time. They haven't cleared away the mine magnets. They have no real control. They're inside of Jim. They're looking for something here, but no one's making a move happen. They've still got a player up on the roof. Why is there not an execute coming through together, guys? It's falling apart at the seams.
Hot and Cold's on his own at the minute. He's just been forced back by the Toxic Babe canister. Yeti is looking to push in behind him to try and support a little bit, but it just feels like a brick wall again. Hot and Cold, is he going to go for the plant? He's got himself in behind the gym equipment, but I'm just not sure that he's in position, Des, and he's not. As Spirits manages to find him, that puts the diffuser down inside a site, and this is looking like another M80 round. It could be flawless, Des. This is turning into an absolute nightmare for SSG.
It's not even close. I was waiting for someone from M80 to round in towards Cash CC and get a spray out the west window, as there was no real cover coming in from there. Rampy was up on the roof when we had Hot and Cold pushing in. Fultz admittedly got swung. I can't really fault him too much there, but they're being given so much room. Why is Spirits being allowed to swing when you guys are trying to push in through the west breach? Now, I feel like a broken record, like I'm going in on them for no reason here, but it's infuriating. We know they can do so much better, but M80 are making them look like a Randstad that has never spoken to each other before, and they are destroying them here. Again, a flawless round comes through. They've had 7 kills across the last 5 rounds. It's just, it's not good enough. It's the kind of thing that isn't becoming of a team that belongs to stay at SI, Tim.
It's, to be honest, not the way that you want to see SSG leave the tournament, if I'm honest. You know, I don't want to see this happen to any team, but we've got, you know, a former championship-winning organisation potentially going to limp out on a 7-0. You know, that is how it's shaping up at the minute. There doesn't seem to be anything they can do. A couple of rounds ago, I said that it looked like SSG were already beaten, and this is exactly what I mean. You know, it just seems like they're out of ideas, and they just don't know what is going to turn this around. And M80, they've certainly smelt that blood in the water, Des. They're circling, and they are ready to take a chunk out of SSG at any given opportunity.
It's emotional for me because I really care about SSG. I really like the boys. I really like Lycan and what he's all about as well. I love the history they've got behind them. And maybe it's channeling a little too hard on them, but again, I really want to see more. I just want to see them deliver that bit of magic that we've seen historically. Fair play to M80, by the way. I know I've not really spoke too much about them the last few rounds, but they have been the team that have really showed up on this map. You know, SSG can't get any early engagements because they aren't giving it to them. They can't take fast ground because M80 at least are doing holds where they have got a bit of utility scattered around, players holding certain areas, forcing SSG to drone. It just feels like they've got the right answer to SSG's playstyle here, and that question of, will M80 be able to kind of break that 2-1 record that they've lost across the year? They were down 2-1 in terms of games against SSG. The answer so far is looking very definitively to be yes.
Yoga just holding that tight angle. It's always a nasty one to try and challenge into. You can see through the little hole in the metal bar onto the bedroom door. And so he's just going to try and prevent any push coming in from that side of things. The thing is for M80 now, this is their third choice site. So even if they lose this round, they don't really mind too much, to be honest. A problem for SSG is still going to be Catwalk. Spirits is playing on there. Now, the Catwalk can prevent a plant coming in from construction side. He's got the line of sight that he needs through the door, so it's something SSG need to deal with, because if they think that they can just push in through construction, they're going to need a lot of luck, and they need very precise positioning on any plant attempt to make sure that the backside isn't sticking out to a point where Spirits can see it.
Although they've got this little stack in towards Garage, SSG are trying to go on the other side, straight into a C4 as well. Not the ideal. Did he manage to get the construction wall open there? Can we take a quick look, please, Observer? A little bit, but kind of no.
Can't walk through.
Bosco is not going to be able to get up to that and open it either, so that stays closed. They've got a single doorway to now try and attack through.
I don't want to just focus on the negative of SSG.
I do, apparently.
The thing is, we've got to say that M80 have done well.
They have.
You know, they haven't had to play perfectly because there have been mistakes from SSG. But you can, as I always say, you can only beat what's in front of you. And M80 are doing a fantastic job of that at the minute. They are beating SSG up. They're bullying them. They are hitting them at every opportunity. And I've been really impressed with what I've seen from M80.
Good name to the back corner, then almost called out. I think Kino, the shield being taken away here. In comes Yeti.
Gotta win.
Oh,
Gotta win.
No. I mean, you had his backside and didn't manage to finish him off. Rampy gets the naked on the other side, but look, this is what I mean. The wall stays closed. 3 players have to come in through a single window or doorway here. They are so restricted on options. There are 10 seconds to go. It looks to be another slaughter.
You might recall me about 2 minutes ago saying that spirits on Garage Catwalk could be a real problem for SSG, and that is exactly why. From that position, you can deny anybody coming in through construction door, construction wall, and CCTV window, and that is ultimately where SSG were left with. They are in serious trouble right now at SR.
Look. 3 stacked up on a doorway. Like, I like the fact they changed their mind a little bit and thought, let's not try and attack Garage, let's not go East Breach again, let's try something different. I'm all for that. But it feels like as soon as they lost the Hibana and the wall wasn't fully opened off, there was 0 chance Bosco gets up to that wall because C4s, impact nades, whatever God sends may well come through that wall and destroy the exothermics. You're stuck then trying to go through 3 people through a single doorway or trying to go in through the west window. Like, genuine car crash attacks. Really not good.
Not good at all. Let's see if SSG can improve at all on the defense. I really would expect them to. You know, can they turn a 6-0 around? I'm not sure they can. If I'm honest, from the tactical timeouts that we've seen, from the footage that we've seen of the teams, I just don't feel that they are in the right space to be turning over a 6-0, if I'm honest. We'll believe it when we see it.
All right.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see this go to overtime. But M80 right now just feel like they are absolutely rolling on a downhill at the minute, and there's nothing that's going to stop the boulder that is currently, you know, tearing away and picking up speed.
Whew, okay. I've seen crazier things. We've seen 6-0s become 8-6.
It can happen.
It was down on 0 before. Just don't really feel like M80 are going to be a team to let that opportunity slip through their fingers, especially given the lack of fragging power that we have seen from SSG. It's a shame because, again, Theme Park was so close. Really thought we'd see a closer affair, and maybe we are yet to be. But given they've been 7-0 twice so far here, I want to say, Tim, a 3rd time wouldn't surprise me.
Hot and Cold's got himself into a fight and he's come out on the wrong end of that one. Gomez, he's dipped back away from it for the time being, but Hot and Cold is almost out of the round. Fultz manages to find Gomez though. That is a big start for SSG. It's exactly what they needed. They can only take this 1 round at a time, and I like that they've still had the aggression. They've still had, you know, the initiative to get out on the defense and use that roam, get aggressive, and they've not just sort of whimpered out by sitting inside of sight.
No, getting out there and causing a little bit of disruption. I almost went, no, then, like you would have, Tim. No, just that's how I felt the entire game, to be fair with you so far. Yes, they're down number. At the very least, they've managed to get themselves that entry kill. It's a starting point. It's the Iana off the board. It's Gomez, who's having a fantastic game so far. Completely with that as well. But there are 4 other players that are also having a brilliant game up to this point and could still look to swing this one around. We've got 90 seconds with which to play.
Kino's going to open up the kitchen hatch, and they're going to try to at least apply a little bit of pressure down underneath. Out goes an impact nade. That's just going to slow down that process a little bit from SSG. And they, at least now, are feeling secure for the time being. The next couple of kills are going to be particularly important. They're going to continue that process of just preventing the hatch open. It will be opened eventually. It is just about time at this point. Now, the thing is, I look at like Spirits above Blue Hatch, something like that, a little backstab from M80 could just end everything here.
Well, this is what we were sort of asking for back on Theme Park from SSG as well, as the ability to, you know, send a Nook travelling up somewhere, just get a little backstab in and upset the defenders there, you know, give them something else to think about other than just the one direction of where they're basing themselves entirely. So maybe they are trying to go through something similar here. You've got Diaz trying to work his way down through dirt, poke his way forwards. Spirit looking for a drop on the other side. There is a bit of a multi-prong push coming in here, but SSG might be well dug in.
There's nobody inside of Blue at the minute, and Spirits is able to just drop. he's going to start advancing from blue. M80 have got themselves inside, and this could be a problem. SSG can't really move too far here. As you can see, Spirit's holding it down, but no, SSG have responded. They've found a couple of kills. They put the diffuser down, and it's a flawless round, and exactly the start that SSG needed for the first of 6 rounds that they will need in a row to keep themselves in SSI 2023.
SSI.
Too many S's.
There is a lot going on there,
SSG, SI, too many S's.
There is. Well, with that one little round coming in, you saw a little spark of life coming into the comms there for SSG. The entry kill they got, the shutdown they had, good start, M80 falling apart in the 1. Not forgetting M80 do still have their tactical timeout to employ here if they so choose, and we do have to see a full 3-site rotation coming out of SSG. Even if they hold on here, it will have to be Cash CC or Bar and Stage. Here we go then, with Gym and Bedroom, a bit of a lockdown attempt coming in as well from SSG with that Kaid on side from Bosco, but as we've seen throughout the entirety of this game so far, the Thatcher is available.
The big concern that I'm sure SSG fans are feeling right now is obviously the third choice side. You know, it's great. They absolutely have to be winning their primary and secondary, and I'm not going to take that away from them. They've just locked down Church and Arsenal, flawless round, absolutely brilliant, what they needed. They're going to need to do the same here, Gym and Bedroom as their second choice. The problem then is winning Bar and Stage or CCTV and Cash, and the fact they don't just have to do it once, they've got to do it twice, and that is potentially going to be a little bit of an issue for them. We will see how M80 do. It's going to be an initial attack onto Gym and Bedroom, and it looks like they're shaping up for a jacuzzi wall open. I'd maybe like to see split pressure, get themselves inside of Cash CCTV. The thing is, what they want to do now is make SSG feel like there's absolutely nowhere they can turn. They just need to make SSG feel like, you know, everything's hopeless, effectively.
Yeah, which means being careful about getting caught on the entry, right? Although we've seen M80 kind of on their defensive side dancing around a little bit, giving, you know, SSG a lot of room, but also not giving away too much for free. On the other side of things here, it feels like SSG are trying to go a little bit more aggressively. Wall being opened up. This is the one as Electric Force gets deployed here inside the Bandit one. Sees him, but doesn't take the shot.
I think just maybe a little resolution thing. It's always worth remembering that the players, you know, obviously have their own settings, and we have settings for the stream. So what we can see, maybe they can't always quite see, and they do get lost in scopes and things like that. Rampy going to be moving around on the Solus underneath, looking for that potential push up red stairs as well. Something M80 certainly need to be aware of. They've actually made decent progress so far. M80. They've got the jacuzzi wall open. I think they've impacted and opened the bathroom wall, so that's going to prevent them playing inside of shower. Now here comes the knock up main stairs. It was something that Fultz tried to do but wasn't successful with. Can Gomez have a little bit more success?
I can't help ignore that eventuality with Fultz previously. I think they've got something pinged out here, so they know what's going on. A bit of a nade to come through to then let him get the Malusi without a swing coming in. Good response, takes that away, which now means really Gomez is somewhat invisible. Oh, if not for the nade coming through, if it was cooked a bit better, it would have got a kill. Gomez finding Fultz, finds a second as well. He's torn SSG apart. 3 left standing, only 2 as Gomez has gone nuclear. A 10 and 2, almost finds a next, but Rampy keeps it alive.
It's looking like this could be the beginning of the end for SSG, but they dig in the heel stairs. Rampy's managed to find a double, but full white flash is not going to help. He's looking to prevent any diffuser going down. Pressure from the top of main stairs. Rampy does know that it's there. He's going to try to battle, but he's being forced back deep into logistics. There's an opportunity for M80 to think about getting the diffuser down, but they need to make it happen. Kino, he goes in and gets a kill onto Rampy, gets himself a second, and M80, they will win. They will progress in the lower bracket of SI23, and that is a resounding 7-1 win against former world champions Spacestation Gaming.
We do have liftoff for those former world champions, but sadly it's the plane home. They go home with a 7-1 ending map loss on, again, their map choice. A close first map, but a really good one as well from M80. Again, can't take anything away from them. Felt like they had SSG's number there on both sets of defenses. Attack's not flawless all the way through, as we saw, but a really good show overall. And very excited to see, truthfully, where M80 go next. Because although they started out slow with DS not putting up the big numbers, he really warmed into that series as well.
A tough day so far for a number of the regions. LATAM have lost a couple of teams. NA starting to struggle. EU lost one as well. It's certainly been spread around. Nobody is coming away unscathed from today at SI. It's been a rough one.
It's a brutal day, but it's designed to be. 8 teams, half of the remaining teams go home today. We've now seen 5 knocked out, and there's of course still one other game going on right now where the loser of that goes home, and then we've got another cast after this as well as a second game on the B stream, so still loads to look forward to.
There certainly is. There's a lot of action yet to come, not just today, but beyond today as well, because of course the fantastic results that we're seeing out of all these teams gets us excited about them, and then they're all going to play each other. It's brilliant.
Just one of those that you think you've seen it all, and then you still see SSG getting battered when it comes around to the playoffs. Not the performance they'll want to remember. I said it's always good for teams to go out on a high. Maybe not the highest of high overall for SSG, but you can't ignore, again, the performance that M80 have.
No, not at all. I think, we said it during the cast there. We have to, look at the positives from that, and that is M80 absolutely locking it down. Seeing the opportunity, you can only play what's in front of you, and that is exactly what they've done. This isn't just about SSG making some mistakes, which I think there was some along the way. It's also about the fact that M80 have forced those mistakes, and they've actually had a game plan, stuck to it. You could see that consistently throughout, inviting SSG in and then hurting them. Really well played, M80.
Well, I was looking forward to a potential third map when we saw the lineup of this draft that came through as well, but unfortunately, fortunately more for M80, unfortunately for SSG, they progress through and keep themselves another chance to keep on fighting through this lower bracket. We'll cut out to a break, and when we come back, the desk will break this one down for you.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Commentating the grand final of the Pro League 7, it was amazing.
To see a Brazilian team with a great chance to be the winner of this tournament was an unforgettable moment for me.
I remember that every time we have some international events on the Pro League, we have Liquid and FaZe Clan traveling. On that time, we faced a big problem in the international events, and that problem was called Penta.
Grand final time! Team Liquid versus Penta Sports EU Latin America. Bank Map 1, let's get the show on the road!
Penta was the best thing at the time, and it was a pleasure, an honor to play against them on a final.
Even us from Brazil, we are saying, okay, Penta is there, they're gonna be winning this. In our minds, in our heart, we consider ourselves on that time as underdogs. So imagine underdog going against the best team in the world. Everyone had some fear. It's Penta. How are you gonna beat Penta?
Zig has to carry this here, or else Liquid will go, but no, Jonas will get the final shot, a headshot on the IQ, and a 5-1 victory in map number 1, Penta Sports.
In the first map, we started to see the Penta was going to win again. It was a little bit frustrating for us because all those years seeing the Brazilian team's goals on the finals and always get the second place was a little bit frustrating for us.
Sexy Cake though will drop 1, 2 kills though, a flurry for Liquid, as Goga gets 1, Zig with 1 more, they're on fire! Pengu, last man alive here, but he gets shot from the side! Ladies and gentlemen, Team Liquid, they survive! And we'll see a third map!
And then everything started to go pretty well for Team Liquid, and the hype was real, you know.
Liquid almost going down, they bring it back in! The energy on this team is absolutely insane!
We already know they are very good, but we trust ourselves, we trust our work. Let's just play as a team and let's have some fun. That's all we came for.
One more map separates us. We actually got all the way through. I was so scared that it would just end in a 2-0. It was so
honestly
close.
Should have, with how Penta played that round.
32 seconds left on the clock as Ness will get 1 more. He'll get the second one as well. The drop. And Bowler with the last one. Penta on the floor. Oh my God. This is getting close. Buck has already opened the wall in the back, and Team Liquid, they're 1 round away from being crowned the new champions of Pro League.
This could be history in the making.
Sexy Cake peeks, but Bolt will get the kill on Goga. Here's the cleanup from Sexy Cake, 2 alive, Pengu and Fabian. Everybody from Team Liquid concentrating their efforts. You see everybody, every single one of the players here concentrating on the 1 kill that they need. Have they run out? Yes, they will. Liquid, they win. Latin America, Penta goes down.
I was pretty emotional in this moment. All my body was shaking, and it was a dream come true, you know.
It was the first moment that we have the biggest prize in Rainbow Six from that time.
We became a strong region after that. The victory was a game changer for everyone in Brazil.
This trophy and this victory is such a massive thing, even 4.5 years later.
That moment was unique for me because we lost so many games against Penta, so it was like a little bit of revenge in a good way and a redemption for the Brazilians, you know. It was a magical moment.
Au revoir, SSG. Bon voyage. M80 lives another day. And I'm super excited because I am with the MVP. He really doesn't need any introduction. Kino.
Hello.
First, congrats on getting MVP. Also, congrats on the victory. So,
thank you.
First question that pops into my head, how are you feeling about the rest of SI? Are you feeling confident now?
I'm feeling amazing. Coming out after a loss against W7M, that one was tough. That one actually hits us hard.
Yeah.
But here we are, you know, bouncing back. it's not over. It's a loser's bracket for a reason. You know, we have a second chance, and here we are. We're here to prove ourselves.
I love that. It's not over yet.
It's not. And Kino, I mean, you guys have obviously been playing really well throughout the tournament thus far. It feels like you guys are playing the meta really well right now. Are there any teams that you guys have been kind of looking at to try to learn from or try to emulate throughout your time off? Or has there been any inspirations to you guys as a team to kind of create this playstyle?
That's a really good question. G2, the team that we play next, is one of the teams that we have been looking at their strats and their stuff, because we think their aggressive playstyle is a really good playstyle in this meta. So G2 is definitely one of the best teams in this meta. So that we keep looking at them and all their strats, and we have a bunch of similar strats as them. Another team is W7M. A lot of our strats are based on theirs because those guys are just so creative. It makes no sense.
I love that.
It makes no sense. It's like some stuff that you think they would never work, and it just works perfectly, like flawlessly. Like one of the strats we ran today on club, the double mirror setup in blue, one mirror towards church and one goes towards blue. That's all from them, and it worked flawlessly twice. So
what I'm hearing
honesty.
is when you play G2 needs to change up all of their strats by like tomorrow so that they don't lose to you. That's what I'm hearing right now.
Probably won't matter.
Hey, if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I mean, so you had that boot camp in Sao Paulo. Everyone went down south, did that for a little bit. It looked like from the M80 content that you were kind of stuck in like a black padded box for a good like week or two while you were getting everything sorted. How was that environment, and did Gomez having to leave for a little bit at the tail end of that like throw you guys off your game a little bit? Because you've only lost 2 series since that boot camp, and we were wondering how you were doing after stage 3.
It was a cool environment. We were all together for a whole month. You know, we were in the same room for 15 hours a day for 30 days straight. So chemistry-wise, it was really good for us. I think we're definitely playing way better because of that bootcamp.
Yeah.
And about the Gomez situation, he left like 20 days in, maybe a little more than that. But we scrimmed a few days with Vivas, like 2-3 days with Vivas.
Yeah.
He was doing fine. He was doing better than Gomez at this point. I think we would be on upper bracket right now if you were playing with Vivas.
Hey, Kino, loving the honesty here and the confidence. Last question. Anything that you want to say to the fans at home?
Not really.
Come on, stop.
I'm just kidding.
Just appreciate them.
I appreciate everyone cheering for us. I know we lost. We're on lower bracket, but it's fine. We'll make a run for it. We'll make your time worth. And happy Valentine's Day, Lonnie.
Aw, great way to wrap that up. Kino, thank you so much for that fantastic interview and MVP. But we got a lot to talk about. So let's begin at map 1 here. Okay, yeah, you almost dissed Jesse, and I would have laughed so hard.
Out there, we're fine.
Okay, so Jesse, I'm going to put you in the hot seat first.
Let's do it.
Lycan expressed concerns about M80's active playstyle. It didn't look like they were able to counter it.
Yeah, I mean, Theme Park started off all right. 3 rounds in a row, they were feeling good, 4-2 split, and then they had to attack, right? And I think M80 on the defense, just such a difficult team to try to go up against. They play so forward, they play so aggressive, right? They're going to take those fights to you. And I felt like Space Station were really, really solo, right? It was never a good trade coming in from Space Station. It never felt like they were in there to be able to try to counteract that with a couple of bodies going at the same time. It was like a player dies over here, a player dies over there. These guys never have the opportunity to get those trades in. So definitely felt like a disappointing second half from SSG, although they started off strong, really let it slip away from them there on the attacking half.
I mean, this is a map that you would think would work within SSG's playstyle to a certain extent, but then you remember that they're a team that goes through the motions about as effectively as anybody else. It's just a matter of whether that really clicks, and if you have a team that goes off script or has the capacity to adapt on the fly like a team, basically like M80, like exactly like we saw in Theme Park, it's usually not a recipe for success with a team like SSG that still has, I guess, some things to iron out very clearly, because it's a timing issue through and through, and that persisted from map 1 to map 2 in this series for sure.
Well, speaking about map 2, let's get to that now. I don't want to be mean here. It just looked like there was no life left in the opponent here.
No.
I don't really know. Maybe they were exhausted. They were tired. I mean, it's SI. It's draining. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's more attacks. This time they got a little creative with my thing on the side of SSG, right? I mean, there were some takes that didn't really feel like they were able to get all of kind of those outside areas around the bomb site that they wanted to be able to get and then work that into the execute. There was the garage take where they're trying to rock the glass up the stairs through the smokes, which really just looked like a disaster. It didn't seem like it was doing what they wanted it to do for them. There were a couple other takes like down in the basement where, again, like it just didn't really feel like they could find their footing. Players falling before they could really get to that execute point. So tough for Space Station. You know, there's not a good way to paint it, unfortunately, for SSG. This is a disappointing finish to their SI run, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for your own map pick to go this way never looks great. I think it was creativity on attacks probably to their own detriment, maybe too creative for their own good, maybe ideas that could have worked in a different time, in a different space for this SSG roster, but in the moment, nothing seemed like it really came together because the only round they won came after they switched sides, and defense is obviously preferred side on Club. That was the only time they were able to get something was one church defense, but times they brought out that glass, and I think they had one attack on Jim. It might have been round 4, and Hot and Cold's rocking Blitz. And I just said to myself, when in doubt, you pull the blitz out, but nothing happened here. And I don't like the fact that you think you have an ace up your sleeve or you have a trump card that you think is going to work. And it's as simple as pulling a shield operator and pulling him into the mix, and it still basically does nothing. So I'd love to see this SSG team evolve into something further down the road, but I'm eating my own words because I said that this SSG had the potential of being the greatest SSG of all time if they could put the pieces together. The puzzle is now shattered all over the floor.
Yeah, it didn't happen, unfortunately. On a positive note, I do feel like things are starting to look really good for M80.
Yeah.
We were just speaking with Kino. He seemed confident, Jesse. So I don't know. How do you feel about their future?
I mean, I'm really excited to hear that, you know, G2 is one of the teams that they've been learning from, that they've been looking up to. For them to now play G2 in the next round, that'll be tomorrow, of course. That'll be a very exciting matchup. And I really do think that these teams, there's a lot of European teams right now and a couple Latin American teams and a few North American teams, M80 certainly one of them, that have a really good grasp on the meta as it currently is. So to see M80 versus G2 tomorrow, that is going to be, that's going to be a great game.
It's crazy because winner gets top 6 at the Invitational and goes to the main event with a crowd, and the losers going packing before next weekend even starts.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
we are in the
what?
thick of it right now. Okay, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your analysis. I'm getting a little bit sad because, Jesse, I know we got another matchup later, but, you know, it's like it's starting to come to an end. Things are happening so fast. Oh, okay. Well, I can't get sad yet because we still got a ton of Siege action ahead of us, so do not go anywhere. We're taking a short break, but we'll be back in a few.